Joe Rogan made an offer to Kamala Harris to appear on the Joe Rogan Experience, and she said no. Now, what the media is reporting is that Joe Rogan has snubbed Kamala Harris because this is the campaign strategy. The reality is, Joe said, Kamala, why don't you come down to Austin, sit down, we'll talk for 3 hours, it'll be great. And she said, how about you fly to me and I'll give you 1 hour? And Joe said, the Joe Rogan Experience is recorded in studio in Austin with all of our guests. It's always been that way. Now, I don't know what they literally said to each other. But the Harris campaign said, no, I'll go on your show if you fly to me because I'm busy and I'll do 1 hour for you, which is not the Joe Rogan Experience. And so Joe said the show is better served in its natural format. Now, Joe is saying she didn't decline. It's a negotiation, but any reasonable person knows that that is a political decline. That is how they decline without actually declining. But let's be real. She's already between a rock and a hard place because now she's publicly stated, I can't handle what Donald Trump was able to handle. So we'll talk about that. We got a bunch of crazy stories. Kamala Harris has pulled her ads from North Carolina because of the surge in early voting. And get this, we've got reports coming out of Oregon. Is that what it is, Phil? Oregon?
Yep. Oregon has, it was just a report about
more Republicans have returned early voting than Democrats in Oregon. So it's certainly getting wild. So we'll talk about that and more. We've got a bunch of news. Jeff Bezos wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post basically saying we're not going to endorse because people don't trust the news anymore. I don't believe him for a second. Before we get started, my friends, head over to mypillow.com and buy pillows because you need a pillow and they're very comfortable. Now, of course, once again, MyPillow has been canceled by a big box store. So they're going to pass the savings on to you, our listeners. The standard MyPillow retails for $49.98, and now for a limited time, you'll receive one for only $14.98. There's a limit of 10 on this offer, so don't miss out on the amazing deal. You got to go to mypillow.com/Tim. Promo code Tim. There are no other promo codes. Anyone who told you otherwise is a liar. No, I'm kidding. They got other promo codes. I'm just messing with you, but we got promo code Tim over here. MyPillow is made with patented adjustable fill. It adjusts to your exact individual needs regardless of your sleep position, helps keep your neck aligned, holds its shape all night long so you get the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. Get their 6-piece kitchen or bath towel sets, only $25. The brand new mattress topper as low as $69.98. Their famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25 and so much more. Go to mypillow.com, use promo code Tim. You'll get huge discounts. And once again, only $14.98. And I'll be honest, we got all the towels, we got the slippers, we got the pillows. It's a great deal, and it's good stuff. So shout out to Mike Lindell. We appreciate the sponsorship. Also, make sure you check out hungerinside.com. The new song is dropping Halloween at midnight, and the music video is aliens turning everybody into zombies, then abducting the zombies, and then a chicken fighting the zombies and saving the day. It is the greatest music video of all time. That's what I've been told. Everybody agrees. Also, head over to timcast.com, click Join Us. If you want to hang out with people who are like-minded, if you're looking to make friends, if you're wondering, how do I get in touch with people who think the same way as me about so many of these issues, or the people you can debate and discuss things with, you go to timcast.com, you sign up, you become a member, and you join the Discord server. And you're going to meet a bunch of people. They're going to give you high fives, and then you're going to argue, and you're going to hang out, and there's pre-shows, and there's after-shows. And, of course, you'll get access to the members-only uncensored call-in show, where you can actually call into the show to talk to us and our guests. So smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know, and sharing is caring. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more, we got a couple guests. We got Aaron Berg.
How are you? Thanks
I'm great. Who are you? What do you do?
I'm Aaron Berg. I'm a comedian and a very famous movie star. You've probably seen both my movies on Amazon right now, Con Job and First Shift. Oh. And also a very active member of the Jewish community sometimes.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for hanging out.
And Kamala Harris is great.
I know. Isn't she awesome?
She's wonderful.
We're on our best behavior tonight because the election is a week out.
I really like her.
Avi's back.
Yeah, mate. Thanks for having me again. I'm, Avi Yemini from the Australian Rebel Reporter. Last time we started this, I didn't realize this all starts like this, so I got...
you got to introduce yourself.
So reporter for Rebel News from Australia, traveling the country in an RV, mostly an RV. I cheated a couple of times. I had to catch a flight to get to certain rallies at RVAcrossAmerica.com. And today's actually my anniversary, so I just want to shout out to my lovely, beautiful wife who's taken a month with the kids. And her present to me on our anniversary was...
letting you travel.
Letting me be here, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Well, right on. Thanks for hanging out. Ian is here.
Hello, everyone. Actor, musician, writer, Also, video game streamer, playing a lot of Mass Effect. Join me at Ian Crossland. Happy to be here. We got Phil.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's go.
Here's the big story. Joe Rogan says Harris' sit-down was scrapped after campaign told him she only wanted to do 1 hour. Rogan said he still hopes to interview Harris. Really hope we can make this happen. I'll give you the breakdown in layman's terms. Joe's a nice guy, and he's really trying to get a sit-down with Kamala Harris. But she will not go to Austin, and she will not do 3 hours. This is basically saying, I ain't doing your show, Joe. Joe says she didn't refuse. She just wanted me to go to her and only do the show for 1 hour, but the show is better served in Austin in its traditional format with the big Joe Rogan logo. Joe doesn't travel for people. So Kamala's campaign knew that they could not outright decline the show because it would look bad. So they said, okay, we'll do it in an impossible way. I don't even think Joe Rogan has a mobile podcast setup, which we'd have to build for this. He'd have to actually set up, buy cameras, get everything built, fly to wherever she is to make it happen. Now, here's the other interesting tidbit here. J.D. Vance has agreed to appear on Joe Rogan, and I believe this will be on Friday. This is going to be amazing. I'm really excited for this. I'd be excited to see Kamala Harris on Rogan because Trump can use all the help he can get.
I think it's hilarious that Kamala Harris said no, that she wouldn't go to Joe's podcast. And the things that I find most entertaining is the response that people are giving on X, the pro-Harris people. They're like, oh, Joe should go to her and Joe, blah, blah. Joe doesn't need to convince anybody to vote for him. He's not running. Joe has the audience that Kamala Harris needs to actually talk to. She's lagging behind with young men, and that's with men, and that's Joe's audience. If she actually is serious and actually wants to attract these voters, then she should be doing everything she possibly can to get on that show. But part of the reason why she isn't doing it, and part of the reason why she wants such a limited time, is because that format would be absolute. If history is any indicator, that format would be terrible for her.
Devastating.
She would fall apart.
And he's not the one trying to avoid the interview. Why would he avoid it? For him, it's great if she comes on.
He's trying hard to make it happen.
Yeah, it's clearly this is her pattern. She gets out of it, and I even hear it. Some of these Kamala ones. Oh, why won't he debate her again? Why won't he debate? She has this formula where she goes, "I'm willing to debate this person, but these are my terms, and if you don't agree to my unrealistic terms that you're never going to comply with, then you're the one running away from the debate." It's a great strategy, but it's clearly working because I can see so many people are convinced by it.
Did you guys see the latest clip that just came out where she sat down with WDIV4?
Yeah.
It's 30 seconds long, and this video explains why Kamala Harris will not sit down with Joe Rogan. I hope you guys are ready for this.
What's your message to Michigan voters in terms of the economy? We have auto workers who are being laid off, and those who fear that they might be laid off. The average person can't afford groceries or their rent. And recent polls in Michigan show that Michigan voters believe that Donald Trump would do a better job with handling the economy and bringing jobs back. What do you say to that?
Well, let's start with this. I come from the middle class, and I'll never forget where I come from. My mother worked very hard.
Oh, you can't just say that all the time.
Well, you can.
You can.
You can't. Look, I love Kamala Harris. You can't. I'm joking. You can't say that. This is old school politics where she's just a robot being controlled by the machine, and if they don't have control over every single moment of what she's doing,
I don't believe that she's a robot, because modern day AI is more intelligent than she is. She's like predictive text. Like she's
like those Elon things that were running around the other day, they were way better. And
like
you could actually
Grok will go ahead and give you a more comprehensive answer.
I'm sorry, guys. Dr. Spatzo. Do you remember Dr. Spatzo?
No.
This is early 90s, a DOS program. We're getting way in the weeds with this. And it was like, you would say it talked like this,
Yeah.
and it would give you better answers.
Middle class family.
It would actually, if you ask Dr. Spezzo on DOS from 1992, what do you say to the Michigan voters who fear losing their jobs? They'll be like, I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that. And that's a more legitimate answer than I come from a middle class
It's
family.
ridiculous. Like, you can actually, now that you think about it, like if you were to go ahead and ask any of the large language models, they would all have a better answer.
Alexa would have a better answer.
Yeah, it's true.
Hey,
it's
Alexa,
true.
how do we fix the Michigan economy?
It would
like to.
Mind you, we laugh at this, but the Australian Prime Minister, he got in on a very similar tactic. He got in by saying everything he answered was, I was raised by a single mother.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's almost the same thing. Every question, that's what he basically answered, and he got in. So
Guys.
I don't know if you can write her off yet.
I've legit got Dr. Spezzo pulled up from 1992.
Okay.
It says, please enter your name.
Hello, Kamala. My name is Dr. Spezzo. I am here to help you. Say whatever is in your mind freely. Our conversation will be kept in strict confidence. Memory contents will be
I'm convinced.
wiped
Smarter.
after you.
Legitimately.
Tell me about your problems.
It's
Okay.
like Biden
How do we
psychiatrist.
convince Michigan voters to support me with the economy in bad shape?
What do you suggest?
I gotta be honest, that's still a better answer than I come from a middle class family.
Yeah, if she turned it around and then asked the interviewer, what do you suggest?
Here we go. I come from a middle class family.
How about asking me about mathematics instead?
I told you. You turn it around on the interview.
The middle class, 45 years ago when she was 15, I think she's 60 or something, middle class families could afford to buy a car and to buy groceries. Middle class families cannot afford that today. It's not the same term. Middle class means something different. She's got to stop saying that.
Is she currently doing a presser or something like that?
Yeah,
She's got a rally.
So
in Washington right now.
So Nandita Bose, she is a White House correspondent for Reuters. She just tweeted that Kamala Harris said, "When I am president, we will quickly remove those who arrive here unlawfully." MAGA. She's literally
who tweeted that?
That is Nandita
Reuters.
Boss. I'm retweeting it right
Nandita?
now. Nandita. It's at Nandita.
She's saying
AB1.
mass deportations, but very polite.
Yeah.
Us?
I'm gonna put it. I'll put
Moss.
it in the Slack.
MAS deportations instead of mass.
It's wild how they've completely shifted. I was in that line today. That's the Washington D.C. rally that she's holding now, and that's our video for tomorrow. And it is crazy how the entire line is suddenly pro. Almost a lot of them pro having a wall, rewriting history. Like suddenly she was never really against it.
Well, the American people are about 65 to 70% pro deportation now, not just pro having a wall or stopping illegal immigration, but pro deporting illegal immigrants, because everybody that's aware of the situation now understands that they're the people that have been coming to the United States for the past 4 years definitely really are like South American gangs and people that were in prison or in mental institutions in South America. They're getting rid of the people that are a problem for their society, and they're sending them to America.
I'm hearing it's not even just South Americans. They're coming across that border. When I was talking to people there, they were saying it's not even the Mexicans coming across. It's your Pakistanis.
So yes, that's a different. That you're right. That's true. That's happening, but that's a different issue. So the rise in crime, like there's a significant rise in crime. There's you've heard about the Colorado apartment buildings.
Yes, I haven't stopped hearing about that.
Well, it's happened in Chicago, and there's multiple other places that happen in San Antonio. And this is
like an Airbnb thing now. They just love it.
Really.
It's taken off.
But that's the thing. The average American is aware of that, and now. The average American that's a voter, they're like, I don't want this. There's no reason for the United States to be having these kind of criminal problems. If you have countries in South America emptying out their actual prisons and sending those people to America for us to deal with, we need to round them up and send them back.
It's what Castro did with the Muriel boat lifts.
It's what a lot of countries do if America has open borders. And I used to be fairly soft on borders. I used to think that I had a lot of libertarian influence, and I used to think borders are, maybe it's okay for people to come here if they want to come here. But the reality of the situation, and I've hardened on it significantly, but the reality of the situation is if you don't have a border, other countries will take advantage of you.
Of course. Exactly.
So,
and then you'll lose all your libertarian values.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea that you should just have open borders, which is something that the left strongly has pushed for the past 4 years, and which is really what the situation has kind of been. Now we're seeing the significant repercussions of having a rise in crime, and you have Americans now understand that this is a real problem. And so, 70% of America
the wild thing to me is they're denying it. Like in that Kamala Harris line, I walked the line today talking to all of them, and the video is pretty funny because it happens to be that they're standing. I'm giving away this video, but they're standing in front of a newly erected Kamala wall. I was walking down the line going, what do you think about Kamala's wall? And they're all saying, oh, no, she's all right with a wall.
This is part of a bigger issue where she is floundering at this point, if I'm allowed to say that, but I love Kamala. She's floundering at this point. So there's this Trumpian cultural appropriation that's taking place where they're starting to assimilate. Her researchers are going, look, this is what Americans want. We have to start to take on some of his policies. And you see the hypocrisy when you look at like Defense Directive 5240.01, where it's like, he's going to turn the military on his citizens. Oh, wait, we just did that. Yeah. It's amazing to see the hypocrisy and how it's echoing, and they want to become more Trumpian, and it's too late. There's 7 days left. I love Kamala.
I strongly agree with that sentiment. I think that the reason that they're shifting, not that one, about the shift from the Kamala Harris her campaign. And I think that the reason, like you said, the reason is because these are popular policies. Americans actually do want to 100% to deport people. And it at one point it was kind of, unpopular to even say that you wanted to worry about the border.
Sure, on paper, liberal tears would be flying all over this paper, but now everyone's like, oh, this makes sense.
Now it's like round them up.
Yeah.
Let's jump to the story from Newsweek. Joe Rogan addresses claims YouTube censoring Donald Trump interview. Well, I got news for everybody. They did. Now, the first thing that happened when the Trump interview went up is that it was unlisted. Joe did this because there was a glitch with Spotify. They wanted it to go live on all platforms at the same time. Spotify had an error, so he unlists it, then he relists it. That's totally fine. However, people began to notice that if you searched on YouTube for Joe Rogan and Trump, the video would not come up in their search. Strange, considering it got over 10 million views on a Friday night, overnight, like 2 a.m, it's getting millions of views. The next thing that is patently obvious is it wasn't trending. You'd think a video this big would be trending. It's the president on Joe Rogan, something everybody's been asking about. It did not. So some people are saying, well, it's because the left was mass flagging it so that YouTube auto listed it as spam. I don't believe it for 2 seconds that YouTube is unaware of these issues. We knew well in advance that Rogan was going to be dropping an interview with Donald Trump. YouTube knew this well in advance. When we had Alex Jones on for the first time, we have a Google YouTube rep. We said, here's our plan. Here's our guests. What are the rules? What are the issues? They said, you're good. They know what our plans are. So there's no way when this is getting censored, it was an accident. They either sat back and let it happen. I suppose some people just argue, well, they're incompetent, and it's hard to argue they're not, so maybe. But it certainly feels like they are trying to, let me just put it this way, man. Newsweek has another article where they said Donald Trump spoke to millions through the Joe Rogan podcast, and millions of people adored him. This is a 3-hour raw conversation, and I will tell you this. The best part of that conversation was not Trump talking about policy or the wall or being under-levered with growth. That was interesting, by the way. It was when they were talking about boxing and MMA. Because that's when you actually got to see Donald Trump as some dude hanging out with another dude talking about their hobbies. And that was really fascinating. That is where they're like, uh-oh, Trump, who's supposed to be Hitler, is being humanized.
Humanizing him, yeah. That's
yeah,
exactly
so, and then the show disappears from search, and only those who know about it can find it. They fixed it. They did. But
they did. That's being fixed now.
They say, yeah, they issued a statement like, oops, it was a glitch.
Yeah, Rogan came out and tweeted about it. It was like, looks like I'm being censored on YouTube, so I'm going to upload it on X. And then within probably hours, YouTube was like, uh-oh.
We got 10 million views on X.
Yeah, let's green light it again. But it seems very apparent that they put it in a blacklist, probably because of the NSA. Somebody came to Google and they're like, this is we can't, it's at least now, like shut it down in the first weekend, because it'd probably have 100 million views by now if it was trending on YouTube, maybe 200 million. I don't know what it's got, 80 million. I don't know what the numbers are.
40, I think. Let me
40
check.
million. Yeah, it could have over 200 million views if YouTube had been publicizing it to the front page every day. My guess is that the intelligence community contacted Google and told them to suppress it, and then
39.1 million.
Someone at Google was like, "We're done doing that now."
I mean, look, somebody. The argument is what may have happened is that it got mass flagged by people who don't like Rogan and Trump as spam. So YouTube automatically filters it out of search.
There's no way. There's no way. I'm not buying that.
YouTube's like, it's got 40 million views. It must be spam.
I would believe that it was some like woke worker at Google, YouTube that did it. That I can accept, rather than even the conspiracy that somebody came in and told them they had to. I think both of them are far more feasible than it was just a spam accident that just happened. The system failed because he was getting mass reported. I think those systems surely work by numbers. The amount of people actually watching it for real people that they know have real accounts, watching the full as much as they would have watched, would have told the system that doesn't matter how many spam reports this is a real video.
I think Trump on Rogan was saying that Larry Page or Sergey, one of the guys, contacted him, was like, it's the biggest video. I don't remember what that was in reference to, but these guys they're watching this video from the moment it goes up the whole time. It's possible that there was just some dudes with like ideological bent that went and shut it down. Like
I'd put my money there.
But my guess is that government intel was like, this is too dangerous to leave up over the weekend, shut it down over the weekend, and then...
We know that X and Facebook had backdoors.
Yes.
And it's only because of lawsuits. Why would anyone assume Google, YouTube does not?
Right.
They probably do, but I dare say it's probably just easier. It's that it was just some woke stuff.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I can't claim that it's true. That's my guess if I had to guess.
I'm not arguing. I think that's possible. I reckon that's more possible than it just being the spam filter.
They're both true. Google's probably got a backdoor, same as Facebook and X did. However, I think you're right. It's probably really likely that one woke staffer was sitting there and just clicked the button.
Desperate. They're getting desperate. They realize that.
Well, remember when that employee at Twitter, before it was X, deleted Trump's account?
Yeah.
It's one random person being like, I can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be admins putting it in a blacklist. It could be.
And then just being like, I'll claim oopsie daisies and I can't get fired over it.
Spilled my coffee on the keyboard. Whoops.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Because they overturned it.
There goes Trump.
Because if it was really the intel community, I don't think they would have relisted it right away.
They would have done it after the election, and they would have done, we've done an investigation.
Yeah, they would have said, we don't know what the error is. We're trying to fix it. We're so sorry. There's a glitch in the system, and we'll get it fixed. Then they would ignore it and wait till people forgot about it.
It's still not trending. It should be trending.
It should absolutely be
It should
trending.
be like front page, top and center. It's the greatest political interview of all time.
Likable. He's so likable in that interview. He didn't take a sip of water through 3 hours.
Yeah.
And it was just, you just are like, remember they used to say you had to sit down with your politician for a beer? That's what that is now.
That's why I'm like, when he was talking about boxing and MMA, that's when I was most interested. Because I was like, I've heard all this stuff before. It's interesting. I really did like when Trump was talking about growth versus debt and deficit.
Yep.
And he said, we're going to get the deficit down, the debt down, but we're also going to have tremendous growth. And then if your growth is bigger, is more than your deficit, well, you're under levered. And I was like, this is a really interesting conversation about how you can manage deficit and debt. And then he said, and that was interesting stuff, but I've heard Trump at rallies. I've heard him talk about this. Hearing him talk about great fighters and then Joe butting in and being like, yeah, but remember when this, that's when I was like, this is the sit down for the beer that I wanted to see.
You know what they didn't talk about and that I hope Trump knows about is when they were talking about voter fraud or they were talking about the 2020 election, Trump's like, I believe it was stolen from me. I know it was. And Rogan was like, all right, tell me why. Lay it out for me right now. And Trump didn't. He couldn't. He didn't understand. I don't think he knows about Texas v. Pennsylvania. I don't think he truly understands. Because if he did, he'd be like, here it is, exactly what happened.
Yeah. Because I completely agree. I hear a lot of people who say it was stolen who can't articulate the legitimate path through, say, Texas v. Pennsylvania. States were changing the rules outside of their legislatures, which violates the Constitution. The question over whether you can receive ballots after Election Day, and now the Fifth Circuit has ruled you can't. So this question is in the air, needs to go to the Supreme Court. All of these things can be brought up. And that's why after the 2020 election, when people are saying Dominion servers and shootouts in Germany and satellites, I'm just like, guys, this is crazy. Okay,
yeah, it was the Pennsylvania governor making that call and changing.
Well, it's complicated, but Trump should be able to articulate this to Joe, saying, okay, I can break it down for you in one way. The Keystone State, the most important state, it's true for this election. The state legislature cut a deal with Democrats to remove down-ballot voting in exchange for universal mail-in voting. Republicans believed that because Democrats can walk in and click Democrat, it's hurting them in the long run. So they negotiated. Okay, how about this? No more of that down-ballot party voting, and we'll give you universal mail-in voting. Republicans thought, hey, we can run with mail-in votes. Mm-hmm. The unfortunate thing for Democrats and Republicans is that the state constitution of Pennsylvania says you cannot do this. It says the Constitution of Pennsylvania literally says absentee ballots are for servicemen and women who are out, not universal. Yeah. They actually began to prepare for the legal requirements to change this, which includes submitting it to newspapers to get an amendment to the Constitution, stopped, changed the language, and said, let's just do it anyway. There were lawsuits over this. The lower court said this is correct. Universal mail-in voting violates the Pennsylvania Constitution. The judge, the Supreme Court of the state, ultimately went to the higher court, said, no, it's fine. We'll allow it. Now you have people still arguing that was never allowed and you can't do that. Texas sued, saying if Pennsylvania is in violation of its own constitution and it's basically cheating to shift its vote, which affects how we are going to be partaking in this federal election. And the cowards in the Supreme Court said, we're not going to listen. Trump could have just outright said, in numerous states, the legislatures who had control were subverted by judges and governors to change the election rules in ways the Constitution does not allow. When the lawsuits were filed, the Supreme Court refused to hear it, local courts refused to hear it, and they were dismissed on standing. That's what the Supreme Court basically argued. All of these court cases, the majority of them, and most of them were not filed by Trump himself. The ones that Trump filed, he actually won most of them, but they argued these amount of votes won't change the election. And in many instances, they said, you as a voter who's noticed something strange here don't have standing to sue, meaning you're not party to this complaint, which is insane. Anyone in this country is party to what's going on with these election systems. But I agree. Trump should be able to articulate that.
I almost messaged you immediately while I was watching. I was like, I think we need to teach him about Trump.
You're not gonna
Texas v. Pennsylvania.
You're not gonna.
I'm not particularly.
He goes on a show like Joe Rogan's podcast, and with Joe's like, okay, tell the world. The world is listening.
Yeah, I mean that's a game changer if he does that.
I'm not 100% sure about that. And it's not that anyone's wrong on the points. It's just that Donald Trump doesn't communicate like that. Like he never gets really specific when he's talking about anything.
He would have said it like Tim, but more like, and this thing with the other thing, and that one's great. And he would have said great a whole bunch of times, but he could have gotten the gist.
He could have went,
yeah.
Joe, there's a lot of cases we didn't get through, but the simple thing is judges and governors changing the rules violates the Constitution.
There you go.
And that's what we were suing for in numerous states, and they would not hear the cases. And then Joe could have been like what's an example of this? The Supreme Court of Pennsylvania saying that even though the Constitution bans mail-in voting, they allowed it to happen. Okay,
and then he would have gone, Jamie, bring that up, and then they would have brought it up. And then, yeah, all right.
Yep.
You take that back. I think the other thing that he could have done was talked about his personal relationships a little bit and talk about, you don't want to air dirty laundry, but you bring up, hey, how's everything with you and your wife? I think that humanizes him even more to people that are quote unquote undecided.
I love that at the end of the interview, it was like 3 hours and Trump's like, he's in the middle of talking. He's like, I got to go. I got this rally. And he's like, let's do it again. Yeah. See you. Peace.
Yeah, he said, I'll be back. We'll do it again.
Let's jump to this tweet. We got this one from Ali London. Charlemagne the God, how is the left handling this this Joe Rogan show? Well, they're claiming Joe should take time out of his day, fly to Kamala Harris to do the interview. She's very busy. She's a VP. You should do it, Joe. And Joe's like, I don't want to do it. But this is an amazing clip. Charlemagne the God from the Breakfast Club tells Andrew Schultz that his show is comparable to Joe Rogan. Listen to this, and then I'm going to debunk it in 2 seconds.
There's no bigger place to go in the business than Joe Rogan right now.
The Breakfast Club is pretty big.
Fam.
No.
Fam, stop it. Stop it.
You think Joe Rogan's bigger than Breakfast Club?
10 times your size.
Why do you think that?
Just look at the numbers. I did 10 million views in 2 days.
On what?
On the interview. Between the clips and the interview.
Soulja Boy did 15 in a day.
That's Soulja Boy.
And who was Soulja Boy at that time?
Exactly. Soulja Boy is one of the most well-known artists in the world. Hold on, you really think that your platform is bigger than Rogan?
Just as big, easily.
Come on, bro. Let's look at the recent interviews on Breakfast Club compared to the recent interviews on Rogan.
Do it.
Let's have a nice...
Yo, it's absolutely wild for Charlemagne the God to be like, as big? Just like, why did you even interject that? He's like, there's no bigger place to be than Joe Rogan. Just go, okay.
Yeah, ego's a good tool if you can control it.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah,
Well,
somebody that calls themselves the God is really in charge of their ego.
I just want to put it out there. My show is also just as big as Rogan.
Mine too.
Yes,
Have
me
you seen it?
as well.
I don't even have a
You
podcast
guys are all
anymore.
deluded.
Okay, guys.
At this point, you don't even need a podcast to be as big as Joe Rogan.
Look at this. This is from Chartable, showing Apple Podcasts and Spotify rankings for the Joe Rogan Experience. What do you notice about Joe Rogan's ranking in
rigged.
every country and on both
rigged.
platforms? Would someone like to read the numbers of Joe Rogan's show?
Says, I'll read them. Number one, 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 number one.
Joe Rogan has been number one for a long time. He is consistently on the top. Sometimes he's not, but he's usually number one across the board for everything. Here's the Breakfast Club. 105 Apple All Podcasts and 198 Spotify. Now, hey, that's great.
It's good. Those are good numbers.
Mad respect, because we're on Spotify or on Apple, I think we're number like 160 last I checked. So Charlemagne's bigger than us. Bravo, brother, bravo. That's a great show. But you're number 105 to Joe Rogan's 1.
Maybe he thinks the bigger the number, the more ahead you are.
Let me explain something, Tim Pool, the God. I would like to say these numbers, you can't bank on math because math is racist, and numbers are just numbers.
It's more about how you feel.
2 plus 2 equals 5.
Yeah.
The only reason anybody ever said otherwise because they were racist.
Yeah, that's
White
exactly
supremacy,
it.
that's
Those
how it works.
numbers are numbers.
So what Schultz was pointing out is that Charlemagne the God had Soulja Boy, who's a super famous person, on his show and said, I got 15 million overnight on that episode. And he's like, yeah, but me, Andrew Schultz, a relative nobody, not that he's saying that, but compared to Soulja Boy, went on Rogan and I got 10 million overnight.
Yeah.
Like, you put a rando on Rogan, you get 10 million overnight. You put a super famous guy on the Breakfast Club, you get 15
And in
million.
Schultz's defense, he's not a rando.
No, not anymore because of Rogan. Rogan launched his career doing Rogan's show. Rogan has launched so many people. Theo Vaughn, I mean, Callan and Brennan Schaub's show. But
numerous.
Tim Pool, even, you know what I mean?
Tim, he sent your show like ×3. I think you had like 300,000 subscribers. You went on his show and had like 1 million the next day.
Well, I had 200 on youtube.com/Timcast and like 120 on Timcast News. I go on his show instantly. My main channel's at 900. My other channel's at 400.
Instantly.
I'm gonna
within like 3 weeks.
I'm gonna start spamming him. I'm ready to get my career going.
Yeah, see, this is why everybody wants to go on Rogan.
He
It's why
chooses you.
Andrew, it's everybody wants to go on his show because he is it's the biggest show.
Yeah.
And it's just wild that anybody's going to be like, I'm as big as Joe Rogan.
He doesn't play games either. He doesn't go to the person because they asked him to. Like, he picks who he likes.
He does. I'll tell you. So during COVID, he followed me and started like sharing some of the COVID stuff from Melbourne. And so I thought, oh, that's great. I'm going to remember when I go to America. And then when I messaged you that I'm coming, and in fact, you were helping me out at that time. But I messaged you, I got a visa, I'm coming on. And then it was the biggest like knockdown to my ego where he just didn't answer me.
He does that
Damn,
with his friends
Joe.
sometimes too.
Well, I mean, come on, dude. I bet his phone is constant.
He's a busy man.
I bet he looks at his phone and it's just a stream of text nonstop.
But doesn't he know I'm the number one in
That's right.
Melbourne, Australia?
Yeah. You know who I think he should have on? I'm never going to hit him up and ask him about any of this stuff. Like, because people have hit up guests on this show being like, can you get me on Timcast or whatever? And nobody will do it. And I wouldn't do that. But James O'Keefe, should definitely go on the Joe Rogan Experience.
I'm shocked he hasn't.
Because he's talked about him too. He's talked about his work.
James is great. Project Veritas was great. OMG's great.
He's done a lot of big work, and whether you like or don't like him, he's impactful. And I'm surprised.
It's important work too.
Seriously, I'm surprised he's not been on Joe's show.
He just did. He was on last night actually. On
I was
on our
listening
show.
to it on the,
and he's launched a new movie, Line in the Sand.
Yeah,
lineinthesandmovie.com.
Interviewing the border patrol agents.
Oh, I heard about that.
Crazy.
Yeah,
James is probably. Is there a better journalist right now in the United States?
He's in a tier of his own. He's.
I'm gonna say 2 words: Lisa Guerrero.
I don't know.
That joke was funny because I didn't know who that was.
She's making
headlines today. She's trying to dig up some. She's very angry that Joe won't fly to Kamala.
Oh, okay.
Lisa,
I don't even know who she is.
Yeah, that's exactly the point.
But
James is innovative, artistic, attacks it from a really cool bent, and I think it's he's like Alex Stein on growth hormone. It's really like Stein is so fun to watch and really silly. James is really serious about what he does and he digs deep.
Yeah, the new documentary he's got, Line in the Sand, is a brutal watch.
Yeah.
Like I was saying this, one of our homies was crying on Act 3.
Not a date movie.
Not a date movie. Right. You're gonna anger the person you bring to that.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you meet a chick and you're like, let's go watch a movie, and you play that, she's gonna be like, why are you making me watch this? Like, because James is documenting child trafficking.
Yeah.
And like, there's a crazy scene where James mentioned this. There's children being trafficked, and a border guard looks at James and goes, "Hey, man, big fan." It's just like, holy crap, dude.
And the amount for which they're turning their heads and that I'm just doing my job type of MO.
That's
it's really disturbing.
Yeah.
And you guys brought up this fact, and I don't want to rebut last night's show, but it's like, you'll do anything for your own kid to the point of like harm other kids in trying to help your own kid.
Well, that's like the Michael Malice quote, where he says there's no law so depraved that a police officer would not enforce it, up to and including the execution of children. And I think a lot of people, I'm probably not getting the quote exactly right, but a lot of people assume, they picture in their minds just like a random cop walking up and like killing a kid. It's like, no, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a cop who's sitting in his office, and he's got 3 kids himself, and he's barely making ends meet. And they say to him, we will take everything from you, and you will go in the gulag unless you do as you're told. And he's going to be like, please, don't hurt my family. I'll do whatever you say. And that's the scary reality of authoritarianism, communist, dictatorships.
Yeah, when people value order over good, when they're willing to do evil to maintain order, things can get out of hand really
benefit.
Quick.
It's not
it's the order of like, keep your job. You want a job? You want a job even to exist? Do the evil thing.
But this is where we're at, because in the film, there's this old lady on a bus, and she's transporting people. And when she gets asked about it, she goes, I'm just doing what my job is. That's how she frames it. She doesn't say I'm just doing my job. She says, this is just I'm doing what my job says. You can see it in her face, and every single person who says that, they know what they're doing is wrong.
It's like with evil, ordered societies that are evil, a small segment of the population just gets eradicated, but you still have order. But with chaotic systems, even if they're good, it's like random people just get it all over the place. So people will tend to, I don't know if they do in general, but that's why you see the value towards ordered evil over chaotic good, because they're like, look, I don't want to randomly have my kid jumped outside. I'd rather just know that segment of society is going to be controlled and punished. This is what we were saying about whistleblowers, when the fear of what your country is becoming outweighs the fear of reprisal, you will get whistleblowers. Yeah. And so there are people who are good and moral and brave. And let's say they get a job as a night watchman. They see something wrong and they say, hey, I'm going to report that. Then you've got people who are like, I'm going to keep my head down and not say anything because I don't want to get in trouble. But then let's say the security guard working at a company and he's watching all the product get stolen by employees. If it's a little bit here and there, he says, I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to get into a fight. I could lose my job. But if they're stealing so much, the boss says, we're about to shut down and go out of business. Now he's like, oh, I'm going to lose my job unless I say something. Mm-hmm. This is what we're seeing for the country right now with these Border Patrol agents. What's coming in the next few years, especially with whatever Kamala Harris is proposing, I don't even know what she wants to do. But what we've seen over the past 4 years already, if we continue this path, it's going to be substantially worse for everyone in this country. Now I think you're going to start seeing cops and, like James saying, FEMA agents, Border Patrol agents thinking, if I don't say anything, my kids are going to suffer and starve. I better speak up now before it's too late.
Yeah. Can I ask this? And it's somewhat of a grandiose question, and I open it to everybody. Is the fear that we feel from the possibility of her being elected equivalent to the fear that leftists feel knowing that a man could go back into office who's already been there and didn't do something that bad?
Well, the simple answer is Democrats feel the same way Republicans feel. Democrats fear Donald Trump, but I wouldn't say it's most of them. I would say most of them hate Donald Trump.
Right.
They're not afraid of this guy because he was already president. They just hate him. Whereas there is an element of the left where they genuinely believe he's going to be a dictator, he's going to lock people up, he's going to split up gay marriages, and like I kid you not, they're claiming now that he's going to split up mixed race marriages. You saw that one?
And then put the white guy with someone else.
Right. Yeah,
They're literally claiming that he's going to deport actual like American citizens if you're.
It's a new part of the Hinge app.
I was interviewing, like, that's what I've been doing across the country, and I interviewed this guy the other day on the street, and he's not politically anything. I don't even know if he's voted, but he just goes, no, I don't want Trump to win. He's going to deport people like me. I go, dude, you're African American, like you're American. He goes, yeah, like, doesn't he want to get rid of people like me? I'm like, you need to turn your TV off or something. Like, how do you believe? Like, from what has he ever said? And if you dig any deeper, he just had nothing. He goes, oh, doesn't he want to do that?
Well, let's jump to the story from Mediaite. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a Trump supporter, you can start cheering now, but just make sure you go vote because cheering ain't going to get you nowhere. Harris campaign pulls millions in ad spending in North Carolina amid surge of Republican early votes. This is massive. Ad Impact Politics says yesterday Kamala Harris campaign placed new NC poll ad reservations totaling 2.7 for the final week of the election. This morning, the campaign is cutting from those reservations. So far, we've seen over $2 million removed from North Carolina markets. This is massive. Citing numbers from Ad Impact, the Journal reported Harris will focus her energy and her campaign's war chest on Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill areas. Per the outlet, polling shows that Harris and Trump are tied at 47 in the state. Trump won its 15 electoral votes in 2016 and 2020. Barack Obama, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I asked our good friend ChatGPT to pull up to calculate the bias of the polls. Swing states in 2016 and in 2020 had a pro-Democrat bias of 4 to 7 points. For whatever reason, we don't know. If any amount of that bias still exists, any amount, 0.1, Trump wins all the swing states. Actually, save Michigan now. I think it's Michigan. Let me actually pull this one up. It's Michigan now, where Harris has a lead by 0.5. So if the bias exists by at least 0.5, Trump is winning, or at least tied in Michigan. I think the bias is still there. I think the pollsters have no idea what they're talking about. When, a really good example of the bias is Stephen Marsh. Respect the guy, but he's wrong. He wrote the book on the next Civil War. He wrote a book called The Last Election with Andrew Yang. We've had him on a couple times. He sees the obvious, the division, the conflict, the fighting, the escalation of tensions. And then he says it's the right wing's fault because white supremacist sovereign citizens are going around. And I'm like, where? When? Where's the news of these stories? Where's the great marches? They're not happening. But he lives in CNN and MSNBC. Mm-hmm. This is what happens when people, and these pollsters live in this world. So the other question everyone always asks is, who's getting polled? We never see this. And you never will because they only poll 1,000 people. The betting markets, I say a lot more about the wisdom of the crowd. And the betting markets say Donald Trump is going to win this week.
Yeah, but I found that fascinating because I went to Vegas and I literally put that question to everyone. Like, who do you want to win? Who do you bet's going to win? Most people were betting Trump, even those who were saying that they wanted Kamala to win, which is what I expected from the markets. But then when I was reading the mainstream media here, they were explaining away why the markets are, and the explanation makes zero sense.
Let me ask you this question. When you ask someone, who do you think is going to win? And they say Trump. Then you ask them, who do you want to win? And they say Kamala. Do you think that person is motivated to go vote?
Yeah, I would say they're motivated to vote.
I think that
you think the opposite?
I think it shows a lesser motivation. I think a lot of these people who are saying, yeah, Trump's probably going to win. So that resignation and a loss of morale is indicative of them likely saying on election day, what's the point?
which
Trump-
is
Trump-
sad.
Trump voters,
I don't know if I agree with that because I think I'm just trying to go over. Those are literally the questions I've been asking, and I'm pretty sure most of those that gave me those answers were saying they were voting, and they really are hoping and praying she wins, but they think she's lost.
I still think that isn't. This is why people fear. So the reason why people believe the pollsters are biased, Trump supporters were saying the polls are wrong. They're trying to demoralize you so that you feel like there's no point in voting.
Right.
And so it can go either way for sure. But I would put it this way. I think that resignation is indicative of probably not going to win. Some people are going to say, I don't know, what's the point? This is the issue also Trump has when he's doing well in the polls. You have to be like, don't. But Trump supporters are
Motivated.
Yeah, they're motivated is an easy.
Like you go to the difference. That's what I noticed. The difference at a Trump rally and in New York compared to today here. It's like there's no energy in the air outside in the lineup to the rally. I'm talking about even just the lineup. In New York, it was popping off.
Yeah.
In that so-called Nazi rally, which was like 60% freaking Jews. Like it was like they were putting the tefillin on me in the line. These like ultra-Orthodox Jews were like wrapping me up with tefillin. And I'm like, dude, this is a Nazi rally. Don't you know about this? And but the energy, just the amount of excitement, the chanting.
Well, it shows tremendous progress among Nazis that they were flying Israeli flags.
Yeah, exactly.
I also love how J.D. Vance backs up this notion of what we're talking about, where he's like, we cannot become complacent. We cannot become lazy. You have to get out. You have to vote.
Because I know that.
He's such a good pick for VP.
Yeah,
In
man.
Super Bowl 51, the Falcons blew a 28-3 lead against the Patriots.
I remember that.
The Patriots had 3 points at the half. The Falcons blew the lead. Do not get complacent. Do not think that Kamala Harris can't come from behind. No matter how down bad she seems, her campaign seems. If you don't go out and vote, Donald Trump will lose.
That's why.
And then
You must go out and vote.
Your wife leaves for the jiu-jitsu instructor and has a kid.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
Tim, that's the exact reason why I actually would argue that it's the opposite to what you were saying. That I think that when people think they're losing, they're more if they care, they're more likely to go vote. If they think they've already got it in the bag, they're just going to go, well, the other person's going to do it and we won.
I don't agree. This is why it's so important to convince soldiers in combat that you are winning. Because you fear a retreat.
Yeah.
People are going to run screaming. And my favorite example, of course, is not from real life, but from the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson, where the rebels break ranks and then he grabs the flag and says, charge, run. And then he storms in and they win. And that proves it.
Good analogy. I accept that one.
It's my favorite movie.
Good Hollywood reference. I like
Yeah. Mel Gibson is based, and that movie is
Very
awesome.
based.
I guess it can be both. I don't know.
No, it is. There's a fear that if the polls are too good in one direction, like this happened with Hillary Clinton, everybody was like, she's going to win. What's the point?
Yeah.
But that was the media saying she had a 99% chance to win.
Yeah. Oh, that was.
Right now, they're saying Kamala's at, it's a tie. We don't know. Trump's got a 10% edge. 538's giving him 10 points, and Nate Silver's giving him 10 points. The Economist is getting RCP. They're all giving him a 10-point advantage in forecasting, not in the polls. This is a lot of people being like, how do you overcome that number in a week? Mm-hmm. But look, Kamala Harris is pulling her spending from North Carolina. This is a major swing state.
Can I ask you that the markets during Clinton, what were they saying?
I don't think we had the markets back then.
Oh, you weren't able to bet.
It's illegal right now. Only Kalshi is Kalshi is the only website where Americans are legally allowed to place buy the shares and the wagers. Yeah.
Because that would be interesting to compare what the markets were saying then.
But you know what? I say the polls could mean anything, but the betting is the wisdom of the crowd. It's what people expect to happen.
And it's what they feel in the air.
Right.
Like, I feel a very strong turn towards Trump.
And they're backing it with
And
their
it
money.
started at the assassination attempt, and it went to the RNC, and then it dipped a little during the DNC, and then the more you pay attention to the news and you go on all the news outlets, it starts to pop back up. But when do we vote? Because I want to vote day of.
I think you should vote as soon as possible.
You think early vote?
Yeah, because what did we see in Maricopa County when Kari Lake was running for governor? 216 or how many? I don't know what the number was, but it was hundreds of ballots. Ballot machines had the wrong size paper printed, so that wouldn't count the ballots. And then they were like, well, just put them in the box, I guess. Yeah, when Kari Lake was running Maricopa County, everybody shows up and they're
Why
like,
is Maricopa County always an issue?
I wonder. Gee, I wonder.
Why didn't Tony Hinchcliffe say something about Maricopa County?
He could have. But, let me tell you this. I've got some friends who have been lefties their whole lives. And I talk to them all the time. They're not super political. They're default liberal. They will post the pride flags and the BLM things. But if you ask them, like, who's the current Supreme Court justice, they're like, I don't follow any of that stuff. I don't know. Yeah. They're now saying, oh, no, I'm not liberal. I'm not liberal. I'm not kidding. I'm hanging out with my friend. And I assume this guy is like a liberal guy. And he's like, no, I wouldn't use that word. And I'm like, really? I'm like, you BLM flag posting dude, you don't want to say that anymore? And they're like, I'm a moderate guy. And I'm like, that's the Colin Wright meme that Elon Musk shared, where former liberals who thought they were liberal saw the left go nuts, and now they're like, I'm a moderate. I don't know what that is. I think that shift right there is indicative of a Trump victory. But I'm going to stress, I don't care if you live in a blue state. I don't care if you live in a red state. If you're in a swing state, obviously go vote. If you're in a blue state, go vote. Red state, go vote. Trump needs to win the popular vote.
It's exciting to vote. This is my first presidential election because I moved here from Canada.
You don't look that young.
13 years ago. It's called Benjamin Button syndrome.
No offense.
This is the first time I get to vote in a presidential election. And what a better way to pop my cherry.
Where do you live?
I live in Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Condolences.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's
But are you in the good part of Jersey or the bad part of Jersey?
I mean, some would say the good, but
So like southern, like where it's red?
look, it's pretty red where I am, but that state we thought was turning red, and everybody went to sleep at midnight, and we woke up and it was blue.
And Christians don't want to vote either.
Just so long as you don't live by like New York, because New Jersey has a problem with like 95 goes through the least attractive part of New Jersey, right? When you leave New York, all of the refineries.
It's because they don't want people to move to the nice places in Jersey.
It does not put its best foot forward. No. I know there are beautiful parts in New Jersey.
I live in a gorgeous lake town, and it's beautiful. There's fishing, there's good schools. I still pay for private school, but it's lovely. It's really nice.
We got to rag on Kamala Harris because that's what we do on this show.
But I love Kamala Harris.
So, you're going to have to defend her here. We got this clip from Not the Beat. I have never seen a politician ruin a moment worse than this. I'm dead. This is hilarious. I can't believe this clip is real.
Okay, now I want each of you to shout your own name. Do that.
Whoa. I was wondering where this was going.
It's about all of us. It's about all of us. And listen, I have fought my whole career to put the people first.
Holy.
That wasn't real.
This is a real.
It's not real. The way they
this is real,
stopped
right?
that abruptly.
Real. I think it's
Come
real.
on.
I'm pretty sure this is real.
If it was anyone else but Kamala, I would think.
Play that part where they all go silent at once. That's where it seems fake.
Okay, now I want each of you to shout your own name. Do that.
No, I think they're just shocked.
They're all just shocked.
I don't know.
It's about all of
I think it might be fake, to be completely honest. But Not the Bee posted it. And
William.
Yeah, somebody would have yelled their own name.
Hold on. If it was fake, there would be a community note on that by this point.
Yeah, I know.
How long's it been up?
It's
a lot of people are saying it's fake.
It seems very fake. An entire crowd to go completely silent like that. And they almost like pause and go silent. It sounds edited.
Maybe they're also waiting to hear what dumb shit she's about to say.
Well, here you go. Kamala Harris silences raucous Michigan rallygoers with bizarre shout your name. Wow. We have this from the New York Post.
Yeah.
For real?
The Post is reporting it.
Okay, now I want each of you to shout your own name. Do that.
I think it's real.
Raphael.
It's real.
It's about all
She's
of
like,
us.
K.
All of us.
And then that's kind of, she says K, and then that kind of stuns them.
It's real,
it
dude.
stuns them. I think
It's
I think
real, dude.
it just stuns them.
Public speaking is one of the biggest fears that most people in this world have. She was able to overcome it with some classes and being coached, but she has no improvisational ability. Trump is a comedic genius. Almost. He has timing. He knows how to work a crowd.
Yeah.
She's just nervous up there, and she's taking the energy, but doesn't know what to do with it. I've been on stage where people are going crazy, and you're like, oh, okay, now I'm going to put it back to them, and it's a mistake.
I think this is also indicative of the mental state of her base. Shout your own name. They go, huh? And they all froze. I mean, I got to be honest. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's a weird request because how's it even going to work? The whole way that actually flows is that everybody's
has the
in
same
unison.
name.
They're shouting,
Bob,
Mohammed.
Brainwashed leftist.
Is it true that Muhammad is the most common name in the world?
That's probably in the UK. It definitely isn't fastest growing.
Remember Superbad?
Yeah,
where he's like Muhammad. He's like, it's the most common name in the world.
It probably would. It wouldn't surprise me.
I've heard that.
Everybody in the crowd just yells Muhammad, and just because it's a very common name.
Yeah,
Man, it would have.
I don't know why it's a first name.
It would have taken one quick thinker to scream their name at the top of their lungs.
Donald Trump.
Like a slow clap, and then they all go around, and then 3 hours are eaten.
What was that thing where someone yelled something about Jesus saves or something? What was that? Do you remember? Did you see the story?
At a rally where
and then she said, "You're at the wrong rally." Whoa, that's crazy. She's supposed to be a Christian, isn't she?
I was waiting for her to go into a new accent, like, "And the Lord saith, you doth come to the wrong rally." She's really a woman of 1,000 voices. I really like Kamala.
She's great.
She's really good.
She likes bowling.
Let me ask you this: how sad will she be at the end, like a used up boot, and just kind of on November 14th, once most of the ballots are in?
What year?
Yeah, this year, hopefully. And is she going to be sad, and is someone just going to walk into the room and pour her a drink and be like, "You did good, kid"?
I bet she
walk out.
would feel relief like never before getting out of this political race.
What's she do after this?
Have you ever heard her talk about cooking?
Write books.
No.
I'm not kidding. When you listen to her talk about cooking, she lights up. And it breaks my heart, honestly. When we had RFK Jr. on the show, you could tell that the bigger political stuff and the nitty gritty was uninteresting to him. You'd be like abortion, and be like, well, abortion is a difficult issue, and we're trying to find it. And then you'd say environmental toxin. He'd be like, let me tell you about everything. Did you know that right now? And I was like, this is what the guy really cares about. He's very passionate about it.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris can't. I come from a middle-class family. And then you say, I have a ham. And she goes, well, what you got to do, now, listen, what kind of salt do you use? Kosher salt. You got to use kosher salt. And pepper, of course. You're always going to do pepper. But I think I'm like, wow, she really loves
Does she
cooking.
cook like Indian or African style? What's her?
She did do like a YouTube video where she cooked Indian food. Like she had someone showing her Indian
Mindy Kaling.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Other people have pointed out that she's really passionate about cooking. And the crazy thing to me is, use that in your campaign.
Oh, man, yeah.
That
She
passion.
did a campaign about healthy food and cooking.
That's right.
This is going to be a gumbo of people.
Imagine
you want her
this.
to be real.
I wish, right? Imagine if she gets asked, remember that clip I played where the woman's like, people are concerned about losing their jobs. She could use her passion for cooking to explain the cost of food in a very meaningful way, where she says, I'm a big cook. I love cooking. I love, just the other day I was making a steak and I was trying blah, blah, blah. I'm not a cook, so I don't know. And then she could say, but I see the cost. I see the cost when I go out and I'm getting these ingredients. So the costs have to come down. Unfortunately for her, she does have to then articulate a plan as to how you get the cost down, which you can't do.
She could say.
Let me just real quick. Saying, I go to the grocery store because I love to cook and I'm often talking about it. Just recently I did this thing. I'm sorry. Anything in that area is a million times better than I come from a middle-class family.
Yeah.
Well,
although
to be fair, anything is better than that.
It indicates
but from
you
now
come from
on,
a middle-class family if you cook.
When I just want to give a shout out to Sam Cedar, who's going to be here on Friday. Any hard question he asks, I'm just going to say, look, I come from a middle-class family. Sam, I come from a middle-class family.
When people go at her about the economy, that is a great tactic for her to say, we're working on solutions, but in the meantime, you can remediate the problems by cooking at home. You don't have to go out. Maybe she doesn't want to say don't go out to eat because that does kind of stifle the economy. But the true reality is if you can learn to cook from home with like quinoa and vinegar and salt, like you can make the bangingest healthy food for cheap. And then, so that will like put a Band-Aid on the problem while we're working on the solution to fix the system. That would be such a great
I can see how this is going to all be clipped, though. Tim Pool, the first female president, and his reaction is put her back in the kitchen.
Put her back in the kitchen. She should not have left. But it's her passion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're right. They're going to clip it. But I mean that seriously. If she were to embrace her passion, which legit, because there's a video going viral where she's talking about how to cook a roast or something like this. And I'm like, I actually was interested in what she was saying about it.
Yeah.
Like it was the first time she was
looked
actually
good.
saying something of substance and I was interested. She absolutely needs to lean into that. You don't obviously answer a question about the economy or gas prices by saying, "Well, I'm making a roast." People are going to be like,
Right.
"What?" But you grasp that passion and talk about how it affects you and what you care about. And the reality is, literally everybody cooks.
And it's a quirk that could work.
Right.
It's something that elections are sometimes about cliches. And I heard today they're like this family that would do steak dinners every night for 37 years. They're not doing steak dinners anymore. And it was a once a week thing. They wouldn't go to a steakhouse. The wife would go out, grab 2 steaks. They'd grill steaks at home. They can't do it anymore. JD Vance is talking about it. But it's one of those things where like Trump could be like, everyone is gonna have steak night again.
Yeah.
And old cliches like that are very JF.
So they're probably telling her not to do it.
Oh, you're setting everybody back with your notion of gender roles instead of
that's
being
so
passionate.
unfortunate because it's one of her strengths.
I know.
And it's not because she's a woman. I mean, maybe women tend towards enjoying
Gordon
cooking.
Ramsay's
I don't
the
know
guy.
if that's true, but yeah, Gordon Ramsay's best chef on earth, one of the best chefs on earth. A lot of the greatest chefs on earth are men.
Why are you saying women can't cook as well as men?
That's actually true.
I don't know.
They shouldn't compete on the same level.
So this is
They shouldn't be in the same kitchen.
the stereotype
Running
of
a
women in the
kitchen
kitchen
is different than cooking.
The
Being
stere-
a head chef
right.
is different than the running.
The stereotype of women in the kitchen is silly because I was reading this thing about World War II, and it was like this trope of back then women were all in the kitchen. It's like actually women were in factories making munitions, and men were drafted and fighting wars.
Yeah.
And then the other thing to add is that most top chefs for big for the culinary industry are guys.
Yeah, but I think that goes to
Because they run the office. They're better CEOs. They're not always, but there's a tendency for a guy to be able to be not unlikable, but what is it? That disagreeableness. They're high in disagreeableness, so they'll tell you if you're doing it wrong, and that will make the kitchen run smoother.
Did you guys know that Chef Gordon Ramsay is actually a very nice guy? And that
Really?
His family's
it's just an act when he's being mean to everybody.
He's hilarious.
So great.
He's very funny.
His kids are awesome. He's a good dad.
I would
He's
love
a
to
great
see
guy.
Kamala take 2 slices of bread and hold them against someone's ears. You're an idiot sandwich.
But that's all just a show. And
Really?
Well, he is like that in the kitchen. If he's it is offices.
I don't think it's real.
You can follow
will
him on.
throw a guy out in a heartbeat if he's
That's a TV
screwing
show.
up.
You follow him on X and he or on Instagram or whatever, and he does a bunch of like reaction videos, and he's like seems like the nicest guy.
I
ever,
mean,
and he's
that's
all-
pro wrestling level.
Yeah, it's a reality show.
Such a
Dude, I've
heel.
watched Hell's
And
Kitchen.
he's so
14
lovable.
seasons of that show.
He's
I love
so
it.
lovable. as
The
a-
way he yells at people,
with
he'd be
you.
sued every 10 minutes. Yeah.
I think
Excuse me,
he
you're
comes
really-
from old English cooking, where like if you watch the old Gordon Ramsay shows, where he'd go to like these Scottish diners and stuff,
Yeah.
they were hardcore, like screaming at each other, throwing each other out, throwing food. Like I think that's where he came from, but he's probably cooled down a lot because you don't want to get sued by someone because you threw a piece of ceramic and it cut their arm or something, and then you get sued for $60 million. So, but
Let's
yeah,
we'll jump to this next story. We have this from KOIN. Oregon election officials expect high turnout in 2024 presidential election. But that's not the news. The news is here. They buried the lead. The latest data from the Oregon Secretary of State's office shows that as of October 28th, with 3,075,307 registered voters, Secretary of State's office has received over 570,000 ballots, or 18% turnout. Of the ballots received, 23.4% were from registered Democrats, 25.9% were from registered Republicans, followed by 21% of ballots received from independent voters, 9% from unaffiliated. As we know, independents and unaffiliated have been leaning towards the Republican Party as of late. But ignore that. Republican turnout in Portland is outpacing Democrats. So when you hear that story about the ballot box being torched, you have to wonder if this is what they're panicking about. Republicans are voting in greater numbers than Democrats in a Democrat district.
I mentioned this before the show. This is purely anecdotal assumption, but it feels like if this election was fully legit, Trump would win by like 74% to 26%. Like he would dominate. It would be the biggest landslide since the Reagan landslide. And there is concern that the media is just telling people, no, don't, Hitler, no. And that there's also could be digital malfeasance. So there's concerns, but like it just feels like he's so much more popular than that girl.
Yeah.
Than Kamala.
Oh, it's
on,
wild.
on the street, it's like that. That is the street across the country. Even in blue states, swing states, like that is the feeling. I can't see, but the thing is, like, I don't understand your whole system here, but the mood is certainly, and that's what I've been saying to everyone. They're asking me, I'm doing interviews in Australia, And they're asking me, so what do you predict? I go, if the mood is anything to go by, the average person on the street across every state that I've been in, Trump's going to win.
It really was. The system was doing well in pre-COVID, but it was doing pretty good. I mean, relative to now. And it's, of course, things have been snowballing. The economy has been expanding constantly. He did increase the deficit to create growth, and then the growth got stifled by the COVID response, unfortunately. But so it was headed kind of towards an expansion anyway. Maybe without COVID, he would have reinvigorated our industry so that our GDP would be improved. It's tough to tell because of what happened with COVID.
That's absolutely the case.
That's what he was aiming at, is building factories in the United States.
The economy was tremendous in 2019. Everybody was swimming in cash. It was a great time to be alive.
And his diplomatic endeavors are like undeniable. Kim Jong-un, he went over there and he's like, what's with all the nukes? He was saying this on Rogan's show. Yeah. Well, can you let's just get rid of the nukes, man. We can build hotels. You got beautiful coastline. And Kim's like, I have to for my own safety. Like opening up to our president and establishing rapport. That's what we need.
Because the military-industrial complex would crush North Korea. Mm-hmm. They don't want people who are opposed to the liberal economic order.
They'd be assimilated immediately into the liberal economic order if Trump had his way with Kim, and that could still happen. Like they might drop the militaristic things, become part of the machine, the blob. It's probably superior to nuclear holocaust, but Kim doesn't want it.
The fear is that with Trump, they're going to find something that can almost make as much money as war. And we don't know what it is yet, but that's the fear. People love war because war makes money.
Yeah.
War lines pockets.
Well, it's all addiction, right? So we were talking to James O'Keefe about his film Line in the Stand. He's basically saying there's a whole industry around illegal immigration where people make money and they're not going to give it up. They are going to fight you tooth and nail. Border Patrol agents talking about how they get paid $20 an hour, and this is not going to stop. The illegal immigration keeps them employed. They want it to continue.
Yeah.
This is the addiction to the system where we create jobs through artificial means, government, and then nobody wants to lose their job. So what happens with Trump? One of the principal reasons the deep state is angry with Trump, he's going to fire him. Mm-hmm. So you've got all these people who are like, I don't want to lose my job. I like my cushy do-nothing federal bureaucrat job. But they're going to start putting their thumb on the scale against Donald Trump in whatever way they can to stop him from getting in because he's going to fire him.
Yeah. And she's going to make warmongers rich.
Yep.
Because she's not in charge of anything.
She's going to say, I don't care if the Titanic is sinking. Load up a lifeboat with all the fine china and silverware and get me out of here, and you can have whatever you want.
And Trump's like, let's make the Titanic fly. Like, he built Space Force. He's all about the future of, I think, military. Like, if we could get him to help pivot the administrative deep state into drone war mindset, where we got to fight robots and not kill people, and we got to focus our munitions on exploding machines and then building more machines to blow them up, to build more to blow them up, so that we can train against the inevitable artificial intelligence that's going to try and kill us. I think we'll be able to have like drone defense systems and be prepared. The whole age of like destroying each other doesn't make a lot of sense anymore. Yeah. And it could become very profitable. Like the whole arms, building the machine, destroy the machine. You're not going to get the resources out of conquered territory as much, but, mining asteroids and things is kind of on the horizon too.
Let me ask you this. Why is Middle Eastern oil so important to America when we have so much oil in America?
Because it all goes onto the global market, and it affects the cost. So like it's cool that we have a bunch of oil here and stuff, but if Middle Eastern oil, even if we open up our stuff and Middle Eastern oil, the price goes up, the cost of the whole market goes up.
So without going to war with the Middle East, is there a way that we could be totally self-sufficient based on the oil that we have in this?
Nuclear.
I think
if you, and I'm not
isn't a bad thing. Nuclear energy is not entirely a bad thing.
I'm not an expert, but I think that if you had nuclear power that was handling, a significantly larger portion of our energy consumption needs, as opposed to coal fire or oil or liquid petroleum and stuff like that, I think that you could have a significant impact on the cost of oil and stuff. But there's 1 billion people in China and 1 billion people in India, and that's where most of the cost is going. These emerging markets where these people are coming out of basically poverty, and they're going from almost agrarian in the past 40 years or so, going from agrarian to a modern economy. So that takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So
nuclear is excellent, but it's not fuel. Like the only types of fuel you can get, I mean, technically is plutonium is a type of fuel, but you get hydrogen, carbon, and plutonium. And so running nuclear plants, they're stationary. You can't carry them around. So to upgrade our fuel system, we'd have to start using, I think, hydrogen. But if we really open up the hydrogen fuel market, that means the whole world's going to have it, and there won't be the control mechanism right now.
You don't think that batteries and electric vehicles would, if you had nuclear as a energy production or energy, you don't think that batteries and electric cars would become more prominent?
Maybe.
You need a lot of lithium.
Yeah, nuclear's
We are looking at, I think, what are the sodium solid state batteries? I don't know. I don't read enough about this stuff.
Gallium nitride is a new type of battery. It's a superconductor.
Solid state batteries is the revolution.
Yes.
You've seen those? So I'll just say it's really funny because people rag on Ian over, he's always getting excited about hydrogen energy. But I do envision a future, it'll be hilarious in 100 years where we completely like the cost of energy coming down is going to make everyone's groceries as cheap as imaginable.
Yeah.
You're gonna live in luxury like kings. Now, right now, we live like kings. We really do. Kings back in the day didn't even have toilets.
Yeah.
Or dental care.
Certainly not fancy ones.
Poor people in this country have better dental care on welfare than Rockefeller did 100 plus years ago.
Yeah.
So if we revolutionize energy, which is Donald Trump's principal position, deregulate energy, get the cost down, everything comes down around it.
The amount it costs to produce energy is directly related to the overall living quality of the people in your country.
Okay.
Like there are no poor and low energy producing countries.
Iceland is a really great example. I visited Reykjavik and I was learning of their history. And it was originally like a coal mining colony and everyone was just dirt poor and it was an awful life. And then geothermal energy was discovered, invented, revolutionized. Now they're actually fairly wealthy.
Dude, geothermal's so awesome.
It's free. It's not free energy, but it's effectively, right?
Energy cost affects almost everything.
Yep.
100%.
It does affect everything.
The cost of right now, the cost of gasoline is in everything. Like in the 90s, the cost of concrete was very, very, very low. And the reason that was because the cost of fuel was low. Everything, like the raw materials that it takes to make concrete are very abundant. I mean, it's basically stuff you can get out of quarries, but it takes tons of fuel to do it. It takes
from the most layman point of view. Gas costs a lot, so it costs more to get groceries to the store from the place. So that's why prices go up.
Everything. If you want to supercharge your economy, get the cost of producing energy as low as possible. So if your gas is $1 a gallon, your economy is going to skyrocket just because everything else, the cost goes down. Most businesses are running, they're not running on 30 or 40% margin. Most of them are running on 10% margin or less. So if you can actually get that margin to 13 or 14 or 15%, that's a huge windfall of profit for these companies.
So we couple Trump's notion, that's his number one policy thing, is to lower the cost of energy.
Yeah.
Then you couple it with the fact that people in Portland are sick of seeing tents all over their city. It's a perfect storm, right? Is that what's going to turn these blue states?
Well, I don't know if you can turn blue states because they're a cult, right? But maybe enough reasonable people wake up. But outside of groceries, that's the easy thing, right? Trump says we're going to deregulate the energy industry, which means the costs for the production of energy go down for every one of these companies. When that goes down, it's going to lower the cost of fuel, which is used to deliver your groceries. It goes one more than that. Farming will be cheaper. Construction will be cheaper.
Everything.
This will make everything cheaper. The price of homes go down. And then the argument from the left is, no, the corporations will just gouge and profit off of this. No, that's called competition. If you've got 300 different construction companies in your state or whatever, or there's probably way more than that, and one guy's like, you want a house? We're not going to lower the costs. You go to another company and say, this guy said 300. What are you going to offer me? And they're going to say 290. Okay, I'm going to call another company. This said 290. We could do the thing for 250. Are they nuts?
The market will work itself out.
Exactly. Yeah. And if the companies do conspire, that's market fixing. It's illegal. So look, if you're telling me that people do illegal things, you're not arguing anything. We get it. We'll try to stop it. But the market will adjust. Donald Trump has a very simple plan that he's articulated. Kamala Harris has nothing. And I was saying this, I was on Piers Morgan today.
She's from a middle class.
Indeed she is. And I said this to Piers, I said, I wish she would just articulate a single thing she wants to do that will bring costs down. Trump says, I'm going to deregulate energy, lower the energy costs, your groceries go down. I say, okay, I understand that. Gasoline costs go down. I say, oh, okay. Well, sure, I guess. I mean, that's an argument. Maybe it's not true, whatever, but he said it. Kamala, I come from a middle class family. Okay, well, what am I supposed to vote for? There's no. It's obvious. There's nothing you can vote for but Donald Trump.
But the roast that she cooks sounds good.
It does. It does.
I mean,
She should make
when
a book.
when she leaves and loses,
it's just too late. It's possible in 4 years she could try it again, right?
To run for office again?
Sure.
I
don't even think
she was never going to get in if Biden didn't pull out.
I tell you, the strategy right now
right, but
is for a production company to offer Kamala, after all said and done, her own cooking show.
Yeah.
Kamala's Kitchen.
What if Timcast does it? Put it
Kamala, and you know her mom's name is Shamala, right?
It sounds so bad.
Yeah, Kamala's name is Shamala, and her dad is Donald J. Harris.
And her uncle is Ding Dong.
Is that true?
Shamalama Ding Dong. No, I made that up.
No, her mom's actually Shamala, and her dad actually is Donald J. Harris.
Yeah.
I got to point this out before we move to a new story. The solid state batteries you brought up earlier, Tim. I'm reading about Samsung's new electric vehicle battery that has a range exceeding 600 miles and can charge to 80% in 10 minutes.
Whoa.
Under 10 minutes.
Is solid state battery?
Yeah.
That's the revolution, baby.
Yeah, I mean, electric cars.
Piezoelectric solid state batteries.
Oh my God! When the car's vibration just charges the battery as you move,
and it won't be greater than the expenditure, but it will offset the energy loss.
Yeah.
That's going to increase range massively. It's crazy.
Wow.
So okay, we'll simplify it. Piezoelectricity is energy generated through the vibration.
Yep.
So when you ever see imagine you're walking, the movement is shuffling and it's causing electrons to circulate. So you can recover energy through piezoelectric charging. Your car is driving, it will recover some through the brakes, recover some through the vibrations of just driving.
very much like
It'll
your
extend
clothes recover your body heat for you, and you can
Yeah.
reuse your body heat. And that's why you stay warm.
Remember those flashlights that you would whack off?
Excuse me?
Whoa, this conversation just changed. Tell me more.
It's got a magnet in the middle, and it's got a magnet and a copper coil, and when you shake it, the magnet goes back and forth, and it creates a charge, and so you never had to charge them. They probably still sell them. You just shake them,
Yeah.
and then you turn the flashlight on. And it works.
My head's way too far in the gutter for this conversation. I heard
I'm
whack
not
off
joking.
and Biden
This is
pulled
real.
out. And
You've never seen these
I'm
flashlights?
sensing a theme tonight.
Yeah, there's a
You just
magnet.
shake them.
Yeah,
Just
Like that.
Yeah, you
You
got
can
it.
actually use two if you want.
And the coil,
Well, it's efficient because you got to charge them both.
the coil's on the one end,
The coil's in the middle,
in the middle.
and the magnet goes back and forth when you shake it up and down, and that charges the flashlight.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, I'm talking about science.
I understand. It's a flashlight. I get it. It's electricity.
Let me see.
Can you potentially overstimulate it and it blows
Oh,
or something?
geez, probably.
Do they?
No. I'm sure there's some sort of capacitor in there.
It won't just.
Oh, I don't know.
If YMCA by the
explode.
Village
No
People is
flames.
playing, can you have two flashlights?
See, now you guys are getting shake recharging flashlight. These
There you
were
go.
Yeah, dude.
these were extremely common for a while. I don't know what they're doing with them right now. Let me see if I
Real
can.
things.
Yeah, look.
Russian
Oh,
hacker. Cool.
boy.
See, it's got a copper coil in the middle, and then
Okay.
a magnet that goes in between. And this fine young gentleman is going to see.
Oh, he's getting it on. That's the crazy
Just give it a
Russian hacker
shake.
for anyone that's wondering.
Yeah, you just give it a shake. This guy's got 4 million.
And then how long does it stay lit for?
Look at that. This guy's doing 2 at 1.
Oh, it's like a workout.
Exactly.
That's the
that
same-
was
look at
the
this,
image
dude.
I had.
That's the same principle that does the
look, the
wireless
feature, man.
charging for your phone, right? When you just put it down on the mat and it charges it, right? There's a small magnet inside and it vibrates. Isn't that it?
No.
No?
The way that wireless charging works is that there's a copper coil, and the electricity running through a coil creates a magnetic field.
Yeah.
And when you then put it on top, I believe it's a rotating magnetic field, and a rotating magnetic field creates an electric current. Electric current creates a rotating magnetic field. When you put it on top of it, the energy goes into the coil and it moves the electrons around the same.
Okay.
So it's inefficient, but it's easy, so people do it. Yeah. Well, let's jump to this other story because people, their minds are going to dark places. We got this from the Washington Post. The hard truth. Americans don't trust the news media. A note from our owner, written by Jeff Bezos. I'm not going to read it because it's wordy and hot hair. He basically says, we are not endorsing because people don't trust the news media anymore. And I don't believe it for 2 seconds.
I want to believe him. This is like Tim and I are of a different mind on this. Tim doesn't buy it. He thinks that it's just placating. But this is the whole goal of like fighting against the woke, right? The progressives have gone too far, and we need to convince your normal Democrats that the progressives are out of their minds, and that you can't change from a man into a woman or vice versa, that they have gone too far, and we need to convince the regular Democrats to let them go be crazy and come back towards the center. And so Jeff Bezos is saying, look, or the long and short of this is, look, we need an independent media that's not bought and paid for by the Democrats and just repeating the Democrat line. And he's saying that this is the first step to regain the public's trust. Now, he may be lying. Tim may be right.
He's lying.
But he may be. But the point is, that's still what we need. Like, he's right. What he's saying is still true. It might be,
but both things can be true at once.
Yeah, and he's already said that he wants to have them hire conservatives, because there are no conservatives that work in any of the right-leaning, or I'm sorry, the left-leaning media. There are no conservatives.
I think he's just protecting himself for the next 4 years. But I agree with you.
Look, you could be right, but if it produces a more fair media,
you're happy with the outcome,
why?
Even no matter how we get there. I
don't
get
care
that,
why.
but I think it's a lie.
And furthermore, like me and Ian were talking earlier today before the show, if Donald Trump got fair coverage, actual fair coverage, wasn't called all the names and called a Nazi for the past 8 years, first of all, America would be a better place, because we wouldn't have people that were so terrified of if Donald Trump loses. You wouldn't have people that are literally on the verge of nervous breakdown. Pardon me?
If he wins.
Yeah, there wouldn't be people on the verge of a nervous breakdown if he wins. You wouldn't have regular Americans at each other's throats so frequently.
Yeah.
It would be literally, America would be a better place. And I truly believe that the media holds a significant amount of responsibility, because they're constantly telling people Donald Trump's a Nazi, Donald Trump's evil, the conservatives are all evil. Just today, just moments ago, Joe Biden, in response to the comedian at the Donald Trump rally the other night, Joe Biden went and came out and said that all of Donald Trump's supporters are garbage. Yeah. The president called half of America garbage.
Exactly. But you know how I know he's lying, though? I don't even have to do it, but I bet you if you go to the press, the top, go to the front, I bet you every article is more lies.
Well, a boatload of people have resigned, and a boatload of people have quit from the Post, which is exactly what needs to happen.
It is.
If you're ideologically possessed, those people need to get out of the media.
Look, dude, he's saying this because Kamala wants a wealth tax, particularly on him, and he's like, we ain't endorsing that.
Yeah, it sounds like he's saying, I don't endorse Kamala, so we're not going to, because I would look like a liar.
Look at this.
But I think it's also deeper than that. I think he's also hedging his bet. He knows what the next 4 years is going to happen. He doesn't want to be... He knows also how Trump is. He knows that Trump is going to remember his final act, which was not to endorse Kamala. Like, it's literally hedging a bet. He's not an idiot.
Look at this story. Musk's plan to cut $2 trillion in U.S. spending could bring economic turmoil. Yeah. That's an opinion piece.
Yeah.
That's the below their election coverage. Their top story is opinion. In a race they cast as good versus evil, Christian hardliners are fired up for Trump. Also, not news.
No.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why the rest
of
his actual opinion is a lie.
Who is they? You know, the Washington Post deriding Jews here. I'm offended.
Yeah.
You say, you know, what are they doing, huh? What's going on, Washington Post? Who is they, though?
They is them.
They is them?
They is them.
Yeah.
They is them.
They is you.
Their catchphrase is democracy dies in darkness. So maybe Jeff Bezos had this wake-up moment, and he's like, look, the Democratic Party is rife with hypocrisy. They just staged a coup. There's nothing democratic about the Democratic Party. Maybe I'm having a wake-up call, and I can't endorse this person. Maybe it has nothing to do with money.
Nah, Trump met with apparently. I don't know if Trump did, but wasn't there a meeting like Trump and Blue Origin?
It was literally the day that they ran that he said they weren't going to endorse.
Right,
and he addresses that in the
where on their site will Kamala's cooking show be?
He specifically says that he understands that he's not in a good position to be doing this, that there are going to be people that are very critical because of his dealing with because he's got a bunch of contracts with the government between Amazon and other companies that he owns, Blue Origin and stuff.
He says I didn't know about the meeting beforehand.
Yeah. So and like I said, he may be lying, but it's still what has to happen in the United States if we're going to
He's a
stop
smart liar,
at each other's throats all the time.
Sure, a fair press would be something that would turn this country around, and I think it's possible and achievable.
I don't think
How
it's
much was the Washington Post sold for? 200 million?
I couldn't tell you, to be honest with you, how much did. Let me see. Hold on.
How much Bezos paid for it?
Yeah. Can we buy it off him?
You think it's going for rock bottom prices now?
Well, 200,000 subscribers just dumped it.
Yeah.
So they're going to be probably in a shortfall.
It's worth making an offer.
Well, the problem is
Imagine
you
Elon
can't
bought
save
it.
it, right? The reason why you can't actually buy it is you'd have to be Elon Musk.
Yeah.
You'd have to have the cash because reasonably, if you went to investors and said, and Elon did this with X, hey, we're going to need to raise $200 million. We want to buy this company out. Here's how much, we do this big deal. The company goes out of business because the Washington Post is literally
250 million.
Yeah, it's 250 million. The Washington Post is just an activist Democrat blog.
Yeah.
If it was bought by anybody who wanted to reform it and make it legitimate, it would go out of business.
You'd have to turn it into a
What's the
social media
point
network.
of making a newspaper happen again? I mean, magazines were popular for a while,
it's done.
and they were like rich kid hobbies.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, let's start
get,
Vice.
What was the name of that chick that was going after libs of TikTok forever?
Taylor Lorenz.
Yeah. So
She's out.
yeah, when did she got fired recently?
I don't know if she got fired.
Oh, she just left.
The report that she's not there anymore.
She
and
left early.
Substack. Yeah, we get more ratings than CNN in the key demo, but they get the 65 plus crowd. So this country is going to look very strange in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
When I think the average age for MSNBC and CNN is around 67 years old, or it might be higher than that. It might be like 70.
Ugh.
And I think Fox might be 67. In 10 or so years, most of these people are going to be gone. With all due respect, right?
Legacy media is dying.
Yeah, AI is going to be giving us our news pretty soon. My search
it's
results
just
are from AI when I search the web.
Young people consume podcasts.
Yeah.
Older people watch cable news. Cable news goes out, podcasts take over, and this is going to dramatically alter the landscape right now. So for our ratings, if you look at like our episode from yesterday, let me see if I can just actually, you know what? Let me do this because my morning show is arguably bigger than IRL. So I've got a clip from Saturday with 700. Let me grab the number. So Sunday morning is 400,000, 697,000 views Saturday morning on a 23-minute show, and that's key demo. That is 18 to 54 in total, with the bulk being around 33 years old. That is bigger than that is triple, or that's probably septuple. CNN's getting like 80,000 in the key demo. They're done. MSNBC is comparable, 100,000 maybe.
I mean, Dave Smith said this, and he's like, they lied to us for years. So what do you expect people to do when you're being lied to by legacy media, and they're buying the lies that they're selling you? You're going to go somewhere else for your news.
And you can also interact with bloggers. Like, people can comment literally on your video, and if you pull up the video, you can read their comment in real time, and you're the guy.
We do that right now. We do super chats here on the show. Imagine these cable TV shows don't have that. They tried implementing it with Twitter when Twitter came out. Like, hey, we'll grab tweets from users.
I think they just owned the market. There was no opportunity for anyone else, because I don't even believe it's only that people are sick of the media lying to them, because I think a lot of people are happy to go online and be lied to by somebody else. So many people are happy to do that. I just think it's available now. It's just we live in a different time. The mainstream media hates it because there are so many more platforms that people can consume.
Well, so there's this story that the New York Times, everyone's talking about. I don't know what they're going to write, but they said basically they're laundering Media Matters, which is a weird conspiracy theory website. And I was asked by Piers Morgan about it. And I said, one of my favorite things to cite is that Politico simultaneously they have two stories running right now as fact. One says that Ukraine interfered in the 2016 election to assist Hillary Clinton. The other story says the claim that Ukraine interfered in the election to help Hillary Clinton is Russian disinformation. How could they be running both of those stories at the exact same time? They've not corrected or retracted either of those stories. So Politico is worth zero. Politico's reporting is zero. There is no credibility in an organization that runs two stories contradicting itself. Well, they all do it.
It's just fair and balanced. But both sides of the conspiracy.
And these are not opinion pieces. These are two fact-based political stories from Politico.com simultaneously calling each other fake news.
It's like these organizations are attempting to become platforms or function as a pseudo platform. Like on YouTube, you're going to see a video where it says it's fake. It's not fake. Two different creators, but the neutral platform is allowing the creators. So these media organizations are struggling to keep up, like the horse and buggy with the automobile industry of the early 1900s. And they're just failing. They're failing because the function of the industry is it's obsolete. The one-way media reading text crap is done. People want fast-paced vertical video. They want to hear it from your mouth. They want to sense your tone and they want to know the guy that's telling them.
Here's what's crazy to me is that we've seen the censorship across the board on YouTube and all these platforms, and it's not worked. It's not stopped the independent media from rising up and challenging these corporate narratives. The corporate press, no matter what, is just dying. And I think it's because people are seeking these things out. So we get people messaging us all the time that they've been unsubscribed from Timcast IRL. They're like, I watch every single night and I keep getting unsubscribed. And it's like, yeah, well, people choose to watch this show. And no matter what roadblocks get put in the way, people say, well, I'll figure it out. I'll find it.
Smash that like button. Subscribe to the show.
Download the Timcast app on your TVs. And you can watch on your TV.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where do they get that? Google Play Store?
Their App Store on their TV. That's right.
What's it called?
Timcast.
It's a nice,
you
good
new
branding
here?
name.
Are you new here?
No, I'm just the hype man.
This is the company, indeed. Yeah, man. The times they are changing. They're changing for good. I hope Trump wins.
Do you think he's going to win?
Oh man, I don't know.
Give a prediction. Just be bold.
No, I don't
eat
have
your
one.
words later.
Let me say this. In 2020, I was completely correct, but I was half blind, and that is Moody's Analytics was predicting a Trump victory based on economic factors, and polling biases suggested Trump had a strong likelihood of winning battleground states. He only lost 2020 by, I think, what was it, like 70,000 votes in the swing states, despite Joe Biden being up nationally like 7 or 8 points. What I missed was ballot harvesting. What I was right about is that Trump's support had increased tremendously. So I'm looking at all this increase for Trump support. I'm seeing this reflected in conversations and in media and culture. And I was like, oh, dude, how is Trump going to lose this one? Well, I didn't understand Democrats were going to pull a shadow campaign. That's what they called it, shadow campaign. I don't know, whatever they did. This time around, it's looking like Trump will win once again, but I don't know what I can't see the Democrats doing. I did not predict the ballot harvesting and the legal challenges. For all we know right now, everything's looking good for Trump. And then Kamala, aliens show up with 1 million ballots and then she wins Pennsylvania.
Last night I was like kind of meditating and I just got this feeling of like, it is too quiet. Yeah. What is going on behind the scenes right now?
Maybe they're routed and the deep state's been shattered.
Either they are or they want you to think that they are.
I'm with you on it.
You think so?
100%.
I think we may be to the point where, look, it was, who was it, McNabb or whatever what his name is, was saying that federal agents are fearing a Trump administration. They're going to flee the country. It may have gotten to the point where it looks so good for Trump that a lot of these guys are like, count me out. I mean, look at Bezos and these other billionaires refusing to endorse Kamala Harris.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is when the tech giants are mobilizing.
Zuckerberg is like, I'm a libertarian now. We're not going to interfere. Please don't hurt me, Trump. That's basically what Zuckerberg's doing.
A fear of being overconfident because I have such a vested interest in it. And it's, for years, it's been the field I work in as a comic to be outspoken about this thing and become like an outcast in this community where it's like, if you win, there's some actual vindication and you get to look at everybody else that are your colleagues and be like, see, you were the person that was crazy.
Okay.
Never be overconfident. 28
That's
to
what
3.
I'm saying.
28 to 3.
Trump needs to win the national popular vote.
Right.
He needs to win the Electoral College. That's bare minimum. So if you're in California, Washington, and Oregon, go and vote. Because then when Trump wins the popular vote, you get to go, la, 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 la. And all of those crackpot woke leftists will have no leg to stand on when they scream, you're on the wrong side of history, man. You can be like, actually, we're not.
Yeah.
You are. The people have spoken. They've heard your ideas. They hate them.
They love those cliches.
Yep.
I'll wear my Trump shoes in the city and people will go, so this is all a bit, right? Like you're doing this to troll people. And I go,
sneakers, the golden ones?
Yeah. And I go, no, I was going to wear them, but then I figured you'd have yours on and it turned into this.
Oh, I don't.
That'd be great. Throw them up on the table.
Did you? I got the high tops. And they're very rare in New York City, by the way. And I wear them really proudly and I wear them on stage. I call them Air Force January 6s. And people will go, they've known me for years and they go, you're actually voting for him? And I go, yeah. And they go, you have a daughter? And, and I go, yeah. And they're like, he wants to make abortion illegal.
Well, I don't intend on aborting my daughter, so what's the problem?
She's already alive.
Kept her.
You know, she's already
got her own
born.
room and everything.
We decided to keep her a long time ago.
Pay for her to go to school. And then, like, it's all right. We have a car. We can drive her across state
What
lines.
if she wants to kill your grandchild?
You should respond with, well, you can't get an abortions in the 436th trimester anyways. So.
She's already 7. We're gonna.
Oh, it's too late. She's already alive.
I keep throwing Plan B at her. But the other thing is, they'll be like, "But he wants to be a dictator," and I go, "It's not going to happen." But if you know anything about politicians, they would all love to ideally be dictators. Nobody really wants term limits. Nobody's. I'll take
Barack
8 years.
Obama said, "If I could be like the guy behind the scenes after my term ends, I would like that." He openly said that.
And-
Don't tell me that they don't want to be dictators.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's a certain pride, and you do feel when you support him. You feel a happiness when he takes wins. You know what I mean? You feel when he says something really funny, you're like, oh, that was good. Oh, that was good.
The best thing about him for me is how he's improved as a human. Because I was concerned that he was going to be a dick the whole time.
Right.
And he's chilled out so much and like really focused on his family and like being a good person. I mean, he doesn't say the stupid, crazy stuff anymore that was riling people up. He's just focused on like policy
But what's funny is it's
on
because
Rogan
he's
for 3
old.
hours.
Yeah.
He's cooling. Maybe
So, like,
that could be it.
And the bullet probably.
It changed him.
But I kind of feel like as he gets older, he's just more like, I don't care, you know, I'm not, whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't
Like,
need
I'm
to
not-
make a stink anymore.
When Biden gets old, his brain just short circuits and he says, "True to not shop at pressure." When Trump gets old, he's like, I don't have time to insult you, dude.
Like I thought in the beginning, part of me was always reserving memory space for maybe he's just an egomaniac. Like he obviously wants to help, but maybe he cares more about his legacy than about doing the right thing. I don't think that anymore. The amount of sacrifice that guy has been through and is willing to put himself through is, I mean, it's overt.
We're going to go to Super Chats, so if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this show, and share it with everyone you know. Leave us a good review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is you get your podcasts. 5 stars and say, this is the greatest show. Everyone agrees. At least that's what I've been told. And then you can put, Tim made me do this. Please help. No, don't do that one. And then we're going to have the members-only show coming up at 10 o'clock. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be not so family-friendly, but very funny because we're going to get raucous in here. But again, smash the like button. We'll read these super chats. We got Dad Squitch, whatever that is. Tim, you have to get Nina Turner on the show or on Culture War. She was great with you on Piers Morgan. She was absolutely fantastic. It was great. And Piers was like, well, that was a strange debate. We don't normally have it. That everyone was very nice. And Nina was great. She had this really, really great line. She was, I'm going to paraphrase, but she was like, how dare the Democrats call Trump supporters Nazis because they held a rally, that Democrats have themselves held these rallies. She said, I have a brother, he's a conservative, and they have no right to speak to these people this way. I disagree with him all the time, but I know that if my kidneys failed, he would donate a kidney to save my life. And I was like, man, she's great. I don't know. I don't think I've ever interacted with her before, but that was a really, really great. I respect that. She also mentioned that saying this diminishes the actual legacy of white supremacy and what that means for this country. But I do agree with her. So, for instance, I brought up how after George Floyd died, Black Lives Matter support went through the roof because people in this country don't like racism. And so when they see this story, like, hey, this is bad, then what happens? The media justifies the no-go zones, the rioting, and then support for BLM collapses. That's not a defense of BLM as an organization. Everyone's got problems with that. But I'm like, when the Democrats come out and say Trump's a Nazi, all his supporters are Nazis, they're all white supremacists, I'm like, guys, you realize that blockbusting still happens. You know what blockbusting is?
No.
It's when real estate agents or companies intentionally move a black family into a white neighborhood to freak people out and cause prices to drop so they can buy things up on premium.
Wow.
It was made illegal in the 80s, but it was a long-standing practice. They would go to a neighborhood, they would buy a house at a premium rate. They would then offer at a discount rate to a black family to rent or something. When the black family moved in, they would then start giving out their information to the white neighbor saying, there goes the neighborhood. You better sell now before it's too late. We'll make you a cash offer, a premium deal for the real estate company. Wow. Then once they bought up the properties for cheap, they'd move the black family out, resell everything back up at a premium. It's called blockbusting.
Now they're just doing it with refugees.
But it still happens. It's not as prominent, but it still happens. So how do we have a real argument, a real conversation about things that are messed up in this country? Or how about this? Redlining was made illegal. Redlining comes from Chicago, where the red line trains, the real estate companies were basically like, don't sell to black people outside of this area. Make them all live here. It's called redlining, and they made them all live by the red line.
Yeah.
That stuff still happens, not nearly as prominent. Or I should say, the legacy of that exists. If Nina Turner and her family, they're black and they understand these things have caused problems for their family, and they say, this is only the 80s when this happened to my family, I say, okay, let's have a conversation. When Hillary and Kamala and the rest of the Democrats come out and scream, no, they're all Nazis, they shut that conversation down. That is, so I think, in my view, I would say the overwhelming majority of this country doesn't care for racism. They don't want race-based prejudice. They don't want any of that stuff. They want to just get along. And they'd be happy to say, oh, I didn't realize that stuff was happening. Well, let's make sure it doesn't happen. We agree on that. Then you get the race hustlers, the white liberal women from Am I Racist with Matt Walsh, where he's interviewing them. And their intention is to make sure racial animosity is inflamed to the maximum. That's what Democrats are doing when they say Trump's a white supremacist. He's not. When they say Larry Elder is the black face of white supremacy, it's insanity that ruins any real conversation about us having unity. And they want it. They want the division.
We should for sure have Nina Turner out then.
Great.
And that's great to see. Like
She's
Phil
very nice.
was saying earlier, the moderated people that are still involved with the Democratic Party, keeping them from going crazy. And obviously she's not crazy. So that's really, really promising.
I think what benefited her greatly, she told that story about her brother. And I'm like, well, that's just it right there. She's had real conversations with a conservative Trump-supporting family member, and she loves her brother. So when they come out and attack Trump supporters, that's her family that she is desperately trying to convert and convince and still wants to have Thanksgiving with, and they're attacking her family. I mean, so for people who have that proximity, that's why I think a lot of moderates move to Trump, because they talk to Trump supporters and they're like, these people aren't crazy. They're fairly reasonable people. I disagree on some things. Like I can sit down with Ben Shapiro and disagree on abortion issues, but we largely agree. And the left comes in and says, let's remove all restrictions. And we both go, those people are crazy.
Yeah.
Let's grab some more super chats. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, it was so nice to see a civil convo today with Nina. Yeah, no, I thought it was great. We were both very calm and well-mannered, and we probably disagree on a lot of things. But I'm absolutely okay with everyone disagreeing. We just have to talk about it. Seamus and I disagree a lot. We're great friends. Ian and I disagree a lot. We're great friends. We disagree quite a bit, but that's okay.
Quite enjoyable for me. I think the audience maybe feels it in their gut, but hey, guys, that's what you sign in for.
All right. Case and Womble says, keeping with the tradition, the Timcast tradition, how do you plan to manage IRL live for the birth of your kid? No. You don't understand. I will not be managing the show at all. It'll probably be Phil, and then I'll be super chatting in. That's the tradition. We get a lot of people who super chat saying, I'm watching the show while my child is being born.
Really?
Yeah, hey, do your thing, guys.
That's going to end well.
All right.
As a father of 4, I can tell you how well that's going to end.
It'll be like Neutral Milk Hotel will be on while the kid's being born or something.
All right, let's grab this one from Stramato Lights Rock. Hey, Tim. My brother and I listen to you daily. Today's his birthday. Will you please shout out a happy birthday to Logan Tunfa, please? Thank you. All the best to Allison and your sweet baby. Happy birthday, Logan. Happy birthday. Thanks for watching the show. I appreciate it. All right. Chafed BM, that's a name, says, WAPO subscribers crying about Bezos owning the paper, but his money has kept that dog BM open. They are the most ungrateful leeches. It's heavens.
Good point.
Yeah.
Spitting today.
Let's see what we have. Joe Disson says, after the election, do more shows where y'all jam. Last night, James O'Keefe sang Plush by Stone Temple Pilots with Ian.
Yeah, that was unpracticed, by the way, so I apologize for all the missed notes on the guitar, but I do enjoy playing that song a lot.
It was like really abrupt where James was coming in and we were talking about how they attack him for dancing and singing. And then he asked Ian if you know how to play Plush. Ian said yes. And then they didn't play it. And then after the show, they played it.
Played through it once.
James was practicing it for like weeks beforehand just to come in.
You know, he's been thinking about it since last year.
He's been doing it.
That was the one he wanted to play last year.
Paul Tascalo says, why would Joe Rogan have Kamala on? Her administration tried to censor his show. Literally, the White House press secretary said it from a White House podium. Joe needs to respect himself more. Nah, Joe's playing the long game. That's why he's so good at what he does. He understands what he's doing, and he's good at business. So, All right, what do we got? Faust says, I've got a 5 spot for Avi Yemini. You are somehow more American than most Americans in un-American places. God bless you and your family.
Appreciate it.
What's your plan through the States and then?
I've again, so I finish election in Miami or in Florida and then stay a couple of days to see how it pans out after, because I just want to gloat because I called it. I just want to point out that I was the only brave one at this table.
So you're confident that the planes will still be flying after the election?
No, I can't. I can't be. I didn't call that. I called Trump. I'm confident that it's a Trump victory, so I'm just going to stay around a couple of days to get people's reactions. It'll be interesting to see.
I think what's going to happen is that the election will be contested, and both Democrats and Republicans will convene a special committee hearing where they will negotiate, and they'll keep going down the chain of successor for the presidency until they get to Ian. And that's my idea for a sitcom. It's called 897th Millionth in Line. And they're like, we can't agree on this guy. What about this guy? And they're like, that crazy hippie guy.
So I just want to say to everyone watching, please go out and vote so I can win that. I'm walking in here confidently, but I'm not saying don't vote. I'm saying please vote because I want to gloat at the end. I want to be that Aussie that walked in like really confidently. Yeah, I called it. Yeah, no, everyone at the table was too scared to say it. I sat there and I said it. It's Trump.
All right. Sean H. says, Tim, can you comment on the status of the Harris campaign lawsuit? Also, any comment on the New York Times slandering you and other YouTubers spreading misinformation? They never do quit, do they? Lawsuits take forever. And so I have no idea what's going to happen. I know that it's been filed publicly and it's moving. I do think we have a problem in this country with the timeliness of our judicial system, but there's nothing that can be done about it. This is why they want cashless bail. Because a lot of people, you get arrested for something, maybe you're innocent, and they just say, you're going to spend the weekend in jail and then a judge will see you when they're available. And some people spend time in jail for a long time, or they can't afford bail. And then it turns out they were innocent and they get bail later, but they lost their job, they missed rent, their car got towed, their lives destroyed. It's supposed to be the moment you're arrested, you get an immediate bail hearing, and it's supposed to be speedy and done. But because the system is backlogged with too many people and it's not robust enough for this, doesn't work.
I was arrested when I was a kid, and they put you in a holding cell, and then the next morning you get to see the judge.
Yeah.
And your parents come down, look at you all disappointed, and then you get released either on your own recognizance or bail.
I had a friend who was falsely accused of shoplifting, and he got arrested on a Friday, and they made him stay in jail till Monday.
Yeah.
No judges.
It happens in New York all the time. Yep. You're down at the Tombs for a whole
week. All the judges keeping the Shabbat, they can't come in.
Yeah.
Is that what's going on in New York?
It's a crazy story. My friend was...
Your people, mate. Your people.
My friend, I would say he was likely intending to shoplift.
Yeah.
So he grabbed like a muffin and a drink, but he didn't walk out with it. He put it back on a shelf and then started to walk out. And then one of the guys saw him put them down, grabbed him, ran out of the shop chasing him, and then threw it at him. Then,
come on,
no, I'm not kidding.
Where was this?
Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah. Then they, when they ran up and grabbed him, 2 other employees said, "There's the stuff he stole." And I was like, that dude threw it at him. But he went to jail for the weekend. I think the judge said, "Get out of here. It's a waste of time." Slap on the wrist. There's a muffin. We don't want to waste time with it.
Yeah. It's not fun being locked up without all your rights, you know.
Can I stop 1 second? Because I know my wife just messaged me that she's tuned in and she missed the whole intro. So I just want to say happy anniversary, babe. I promise you I stopped the whole show for you. And thank you for letting me be in America. And this is the sweetest thing I did. So remember when I get home.
Based up.
Right on.
Yeah. He did do that. He did actually shout
Tim,
out.
can I shout out my wife too?
Hey, don't take it.
Our anniversary was in September, but thanks for letting me be here, and I'll see you soon. I love you, honey.
Now Avi's going to be like, remember when I stopped that whole episode of Timcast just for you?
Honey, you're my whole political reason to be. Thank you. I love you. I'd stuff your ballot box. Whoops.
All right. Sam Off Grid says the left is abandoned in the middle of the country. Kamala ran on single issue in Houston, abortion. If this is not a landslide for Trump, I will lose all faith in the future of America.
It is getting to the point where the only thing the Democrats are running on is just abortion. It's like, just let me kill my kids. Just let me kill my kid. That's all the Democrats have now.
That is wild.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like when you actually think about it, like this whole party, like the only reason that they have any like motivation or any kind of support, it's women that want to be able to kill their children
or change their sexuality.
Yeah, or you got to chop your ween off.
All right. Common Sense Fishing says, please pray for my daughter, coded twice on life support. I've lost 2 sons, only have 2 kids left, her and her brother. Jeez. I'm watching you from her bedside. Please ask community for prayers. Everybody, Common Sense Fishing's daughter can use your prayers and support. I hope for you the best, sir. I can't imagine.
You got this.
All right, let's grab some more. Radon Cross says, Google is actively censoring it. How could they not be? Since they admitted in Project Veritas that Trump won't be president again before the 2020 election, everyone remembers that footage. Yeah, when they were crying when Trump won, remember that? Google staff were crying on video because Trump won.
Remember that.
Man, you know.
That's why I'm staying around. I told you.
You're staying around for the election?
Yeah,
what's
to
your
see the reaction after? I just want to. I want to see firsthand the crying.
What's like? Where are you going to be? What's your plan? DC?
I'm going to be. No, I'm Florida. So there's not going to be
Florida.
I know. I might have to jump somewhere. I know.
Fireworks and celebrations.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about it today. Thinking I am probably going to the wrong place for me because I enjoy being around. Like the Trump vibe is fun, but I do thrive more in when it comes to the lunatics.
He's going to change.
It
Hallelujah.
gives me so much energy to work with.
Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago.
Are you going to Mar-a-Lago?
I think I might end up there. Yeah.
Oh, it's great. It's good.
Beautiful.
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. And when you go there and Trump is there, he'll come up to you and he'll shake your hand. He's nice. He's just walking around. When we went there, you're just standing there.
Yeah.
Like there's like this big, I don't know if you call it the lobby, but when you go through the front door where the reception is, there's this big room. There's a bunch of stuff in there. He's just standing there. He's just, standing there and he's looking over and he waves at somebody and he walks over, talking to some women. And I'm like, I'm not going to walk up to him because, he's Trump. But people would walk up to him and said, hey, Mr. President, shook his hand and takes pictures with him. That's cool, man. But of course, Mar-a-Lago's invite only or private club. So if you get
invited, he likes you, he'll be like, have your wedding here.
Exactly. Yeah. And if they like you, they invite you to become a member. And apparently it's like a big one-time fee, but it's actually...
It's dirt cheap. It's like $30.
Yeah, just $30. I think it's, I could be totally wrong, but it might be like 20-something.
It's like a Costco membership.
It might be like 20 grand a month or something, or a year, I think.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
Well, no. I could be wrong, but I thought it was like 200,000 a year.
That sounds right. No, the buy-in.
The buy-in is 200, but then I think it's like 20,000 a year or something like not really. It might be more than that. Maybe it's, I think it's, I don't think it's that. Because someone told me it's a lot cheaper than people realize.
You just go whenever you want?
But it's invite only. So it's not that it's a big one-time fee to join, but you're invited and then you pay basically the costs. So I got to stay there. It was great. Shout out to Bill Pulte. He's a member. He invited us to come hang out, and that was really, really great. Yeah. And but yeah, a lot of these clubs, man. Like I think the Soho Club in New York 10 years ago was $50 grand a month. Or 50 grand a year, not a month, a year. So they're expensive. All right, Mac Dizzy Dog says, listening to the show while I paint my daughter's room. Just closed on our first home yesterday here in New Hampshire. Hard work pays off, Tim. Trump signs all around the neighborhood. Gonna blast some all that remains when the coffee wears off, Phil.
Yes. I love to hear it.
Man, isn't that the dream right there?
Tweet at me what town you're in.
I hope Trump wins, and then the next thing everyone's talking about is just closed on my first house. Kids are on the way. Work is great. We're saving. We got vacation planned. That's the dream, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jim Garr says, hey, Tim, watching you has inspired me to start my own art business. I wish I could show you my art, but YouTube doesn't let me share my Instagram here for some reason. I would love to work with you someday. I'm planning on painting skateboards. Skateboarders? Painting on skateboarders. Like putting paint on them? Good luck, sir.
You could put your Instagram name. You don't have to put the URL. Then people can search for you that way.
Cindy Dralick says, I forgot my message. Ian in Graphene Green crushed velvet is hypnotizing. His low acid coffee is fantastic.
Ooh, that's Graphene Dream. Get it at castbrew.com. It is good. It's delicious and it's smooth. It's light.
Smooth.
Yeah, I like it.
Let's grab some more super chats. Brad Peters says, BIOS passwords for voting machines components in 63 of 64 CO counties have been leaked by Secretary of State Griswold on her website per Rocky Mountain Voice, quietly updated and no public address by the state. Wow, I don't know. Is that true? That's crazy. That is very bad. Jeez. No Name says, due to the potential for violence at the polls, I encourage folks to vote early. Violence at the polls could be used to close them on election day. That's a scary thing. Some key swing areas where they know Republicans are winning, and then all of a sudden they're like, we got to shut it down because of violence or some nonsense. That's why Trump is saying, like, vote early. Just go get it out of the way. Get it done. You got to go vote. Go vote. I can't wait to cast my vote. Also, if you saw, the Daily Wire also announced that we will be at the Daily Wire studios for election week, because it's not going to be a day. It's going to be really fun. And Jeremy Boring was like, Tim has a sword made from a meteorite and monetized a YouTube channel just for his chicken coop. We have Jordan Peterson who sells shampoo. This will be the weirdest crossover ever. And I'm like, indeed, it will be fun.
I didn't know he was selling shampoo. That's cool.
Yeah, but we're also doing a bunch of crossovers. We're going to be joining Steven Crowder during election night. We're also going to be joining Carl Benjamin over at the Lotus Eaters. Oh, yeah. This is like, I don't know, man. This is the bottom of the ninth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is it. I'm excited. We're just going to have a bunch of pizza and wings, and we'll all just eat chicken wings and enjoy ourselves. You know what scared me the other day? 2 or 3 places around here were sold out of chicken wings.
Good Lord.
That freaked me out.
Like grocery stores or chicken wing places?
Chicken wing places.
That's
well, like food places.
Yeah.
And like they're like pizza and wings, and they're like, we have no wings. And I was like, So I went on DoorDash, and it was like unavailable, and I was like, what is going on?
Did you get to the bottom of it?
Well, they restocked. So I don't know, but that freaked me out. Because we had a chicken wing shortage a couple years ago. You remember that one?
What day was it? Was it like Sunday?
No, it was last week, middle of the week.
Did you order a lot on Sunday?
No, I'm just thinking like it's possible that there's football games.
Yeah.
No, middle
US
of the week.
Football, not.
So what I do, I only eat chicken wings. Today I had chicken wings. That's all I ate.
The ones with all the pads.
I am concerned for my health because the only thing I eat is a 2-egg goat cheese omelet with avocado and a protein shake.
Sounds lovely.
And then chicken wings.
That's a problem.
Yeah, I think I have to eat vegetables.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think?
At the very least,
wings
get
are
like
great,
a super greens powder you can put in your smoothie.
Do you have some on? Do you
Nah,
sell
you know
some?
what I'll do?
Yeah, I don't sell any.
You know those? What are those things they advertise on Fox News all the time? They're pills, the fruit pills.
Chlorella?
No, they're just.
What about the ones that Alex Jones sells? There's gotta
No.
be
On
something
Fox
that has-
News, like they advertise this every commercial, and it's like
Catheters?
no, they're pulverized fruit and vegetables, and just pills, and you eat them.
It's probably really good for you.
There you
Super
go.
Beats.
Really?
Not
Why don't you just eat fruit and vegetables? That's
a good.
Probably a lot to do.
Get some celery.
In
Cheap, and
America,
it stays good for.
it's not as accessible in America. We don't just have trees in our yard where we climb them and pick things.
Your Walmart avocados are a problem, and I think we need to discuss this, and especially when
They're small.
No, when Kamala becomes the chef, I want her to deal with this issue. Is your avocados are always super hard?
Yeah.
And we had to wait a week in this RV for the avocado to ripen up.
Yes, true.
I think you can put them in tinfoil in the oven while it's open and just have it at like 200 degrees. Look online for the exact temperature, and it'll soften the avocado.
So first time I was in Brazil, my homie was like, "What do you want to get for food? Like, let's buy groceries." And I was working for Vice at the time, and I was like, "We should do some." I think he suggested we'll get guacamole. We'll make guacamole. And then we were at the grocery store, and he walks up with this green thing this big, and I was like, "What is that?" He's like, "Avocado," and I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, what?" He was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Dude, our avocados are like this."
Yeah,
He's like, "Our avocados are like this."
We
No
have
joke,
we
it
have
was
a
huge.
range, but you can go there, and then you feel like if you want one now, you just find a ripe one. And I was like in Walmart, and I think people will look at me like a weirdo.
But
Yeah,
they
you're doing the right
they sell this thing I buy called smashed avocado, and it's literally just avocado mashed into a container. So it's just you peel
we
it
have
open.
smashed avocados like when you're out, but that's just smashed avocado. Like
Well, we got a place nearby that they do tableside guacamole.
what is with America?
It's a luxury up here.
Tableside
Avocados.
guacamole's really cool.
They make it, and I always say no cilantro, extra lime juice.
Yep.
And then they say, okay.
No cilantro.
Okay.
Mind you, I'm pretty sick of Mexican food on this trip. I've eaten a lot.
How
I
dare you.
dude, I'm Mexican fooded out because I was eating it like every day for a month because it's so good. The tableside guac is so healthy, but I just can't do it.
Beans, dude. I'll do like smoothies with a can of beans, some tahini. So basically hummus, but just with like
tahini.
black beans, tahini, salt, vinegar, and then blend it up and just eat
He's
it.
eating tahina with tahini with what?
With like black beans instead of chickpeas. So like hummus, but I'll use black beans instead.
This is interracial stuff.
So delicious. It is so 21st century.
This is what they want to break up. This is what Trump is going to stop.
Yeah, you can't. You
can't mix your hummus tahina and your Mexican, mate.
Imagine the culture.
They're mixing the tahini and the hummus.
They're putting salsa on their eggs. No, I just say no. But we like huevos rancheros. I would, if I was president, cilantro, fennel.
No, don't say it.
Caraway.
Triple time.
Celery.
You just got to grind your caraway up in a mortar and pestle and then sprinkle it on your
anise. Oof, anise out the door. No way.
Caraway seeds are legit.
No, they aren't. All right, Jake Ryan says birthright citizens should be addressed when dealing with criminal immigrants, especially those that didn't enter through a legal port of entry, and refugees are here temporarily. Okay. Boosted Yogi says Tim just created the best GIF of all time. Indeed.
He's talking about the.
What are you saying over there, huh?
The flashlight.
It's made it to the internet.
What's made it to the internet?
The flashlight.
Well, I wouldn't have done it if I was not aware that it would make a meme GIF.
Wow. Very prescient.
All right. Carter Mai says, all I want for my birthday, November 7th, is for Trump to win the presidency. All I want for Christmas is for Trump to annex Canada. I have been very good this year. Trump 2024, annex Canada 2024-25. I'm down. I like Montreal. Go up there and get some poutine. All right, everybody, if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. It's the best show. Everyone agrees. At least that's what I've been told. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Go to timcast.com, click join us. Become a member. You can make a lot of friends, okay? You're looking for people to hang out with, share your ideas with, find people in your community. The Timcast Discord server is full of really awesome people, and they want to be your friend. They told me, they said, Tim, can you tell them we want to be friends? I said, I'll try. But we're also going to have that members-only show coming up in a minute or so, and you as members get to call and talk to us and our guests. A lot of fun. So do that. And once again, smash that like button. Aaron, do you want to shout anything out?
I'm on X at Aaron Berg Comedy. I'm on Instagram at Aaron Berg Comedy. And like I said before, Con Job just came out on Amazon. It's a hilarious movie. First Shift, directed by Uwe Boll, is on Amazon Prime. And my live dates are aaronberg.com. I'll be in New York, part of the New York Comedy Festival, November 8th, doing an hour at the Stand, NYC. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, right on.
Yep, so you can, if you want to follow me, follow avi.com. You can find all my socials, aviacrossamerica.com. That's what I'm doing here at the moment. Check out all our reports from across the country. But I've got a couple of quick shout-outs. Philip, this is from my cameraman. I'm a big fan of All That Remains, his band.
Awesome, man. Cheers.
Benji.
Thank you, Benji.
He loves you. And my stepson, Cruz, was offended last time that I brought up my daughter and didn't name him. So Cruz, that's it. That's your present that I bought you back from the States.
Cruz with a big shout out tonight. Nice job, dude. Big one. Making him say your name out loud, Cruz. Congratulations. I love you guys. Thanks for coming. It was good to see you again.
Thanks
Aaron.
for having me.
Always a pleasure, man. Have a good time in America, man. Hey, follow me at Ian Crossland. Subscribe. I'm going to be streaming live pretty frequently this week. I'm playing Mass Effect. I'm finally doing a playthrough of the legendary Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. It's spectacular. I did 14 hours a few days ago, and I'm going to be just crushing it. So follow me, Ian Crossland. See you later.
We will see you guys over at... Oh, wait.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. You can check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Pandora, all that stuff. You can check out our new videos for Let You Go, No Tomorrow, and Divine. You'll find those on YouTube. And don't forget, The Left Lane is for crime.
Now we will see you all over at timcast.com in just a minute. Thanks for hanging out.